How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the grandson of Madara and built Harem in Justice League? Part 1. Huge shout out to YamiNaruto for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Tatooine was a harsh desert world orbiting twin suns and the first planet in the binary Tattoo star system. It was part of the Arcanis sector in the Outer Rim territories. It was inhabited by poor locals who mostly farmed moisture for a living. Other activities included used equipment retailing and scrap dealing. Tatooine was one of the oldest planets in the known galaxies and was composed of a molten core with a rocky mantle and silicate rock crust. The planet was once covered in large oceans, which dried up, leaving behind many pre-arid geological formations. Other notable geological features included the Dune Sea, an enormous sodium-rich desert, the Mushroom Mesa, a vast formation of giant standing stones, and the undulant wastes, an extremely rocky expanse of the planet. Due to the twin suns in the sky, the days were extremely arid and bright, especially during double noon. It was an unknown region of the sandy planet Tatooine. A lone, short figure was standing at the top of a cliff, wearing a tattered, stained and ripped cloak with a drawn hood that hid the entirety of his face. He was watching the twin suns burn down out of the cloudless blue sky, washing the vast desert wastes that covered the planet in brilliant white light from the cliff. The resultant glare rose off the flat, sandy surface in a wet shimmer of blistering heat to fill the gaps between the massive cliff faces and the solitary outcroppings of mountains that were the planet's sole distinguishing feature. "So, did you find anything?" he asked, seemingly to no one, while not taking his eyes from the vast desert in front of him. "Yes, master. I did," a feminine voice replied telepathically, and a black bird, a raven, came out from his shadow and perched on his left shoulder. She was larger than any normal raven. Her body was covered with purple markings and she had two different colored eyes, the left one being purple while the other was red. "So what is it, Karasa-chan?" "Master, we're on a planet named Tatooine. It is a harsh desert world orbiting twin suns along the outer rim of the galaxy. This planet is far away from the Green Lantern Corps, so it's pretty much lawless." "The Green Lantern Corps?" "They are an intergalactic police force, master." "Oh, an intergalactic police force. That's interesting." His voice was filled with mirth as he said this. "Did you find anything about them?" "Other than their name, I got nothing." "That's fine. Please continue." "The planet is ruled by the Hutts. They're immense slug-like creatures that have a thick body with a long muscular tail and small arms located on the upper body," she said. "Anyway, most settlers operate moisture farms further out, deeper into the desert, but cities such as Mos Espa and Mos Eisley attract a wide range of criminals and rogues. Tatooine's many dangers include sudden sandstorms, bands of roving Tusken raiders, and carnivorous crate dragons. This planet is also known for dangerous pod races, rampant gambling, and legalized slavery." Good job, Karasa-chan," the person said as he reached up and pulled off his hood, revealing what it had hidden. He looked about to be a 10-year-old, fair-skinned boy with spiky, blonde hair that had a slight black tint on it. His dark blue eyes peered out from an angular face, and his forehead had a small violet rhombus mark. He was Naruto Uzumaki, the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, as well as the grandson and true heir of Madara Uchiha. "Never thought my fight with Shinju would end up like this. Now, Karasa and I are in a completely different dimension," he thought himself, looking up at the sky. But then again, a new dimension means new challenges, new fights, and a completely brand new adventure. Well, there is also something I want to find out. He looked down at his left hand as his eyes focused on the marking over his palm that looked similar to the pitch-black Chinese dragon with a lone blood-red eye. "Other than reducing my age, what did Shinju's chakra do with me?" Naruto turned around and looked at particular direction as he sensed 6 rapidly approaching energy signatures that filled with negative emotions. His eyes narrowed when he saw 6 reptile-like aliens, hovering about 4 feet above the ground using metallic discs as platforms. They possessed rather distinctive faces, large, round, multifaceted eyes, taper-like snouts, and a pair of saucer-shaped antennae on their heads. They all were holding some kind of metallic devices in their hands, which he recognized blasters. Well, what have we got here? A little human child, one alien said in his native language. What? Naruto thought. He didn't have any clue what the alien in front of him was talking. I really need to learn how to speak their language, or else I'll need a good translator. Yeah, he's alone. We can either kill him or sell him on the black market, another alien said, who was hovering beside him, pointing his blaster at Naruto. Put your hands up, kid. He fired a blaster bolt at Naruto to prove his point, but to his surprise, an invisible shield formed around Naruto's body that blocked his attack. What? One of his associates said. It's some kind of shield. All aliens fired their blaster bolts at Naruto, but their entire effort turned out to be completely useless. Naruto was completely unharmed, not even scratched. Sorry, but your playtime is over, Naruto said coldly as his irises turned red with 3 black commas spinning around the pupil. Goodbye. In the large, empty desert, no one heard their pitiful cries of pain. A few months passed after that incident. Our favorite ninja was walking down the main street of Mos Espa, ignoring the dangerous-looking citizens of numerous species. He was wearing a genjutsu to avoid unwanted attention from others. Mos Espa was a spaceport on Tatooine. Most residents were either involved in the crime business with the huts or were poor shopkeepers and moisture farmers trying to eke out a living in the inhospitable desert. The biggest retail business in Mos Espa was junk dealing, and Naruto was heading over there. After walking for a few minutes, finally, Naruto arrived at the plaza, which was surrounded by several junk and spaceship dealers. After scanning the place, he found a suitable shop, the dingy junk shop. He entered the shop, where he greeted by a pudgy blue alien. What do you want? The alien asked rudely in his native tongue. I want a good spaceship, Naruto said in the same language, showing his Sharingan to him. And I want it free. 8 years later, in a U.S. military base, in the planet Earth, 3 people were watching the monitors around them, keeping their eyes on any outer space activity. Their job was kept eyes on all space activity. They spent most of their time on watching monitors and observing space objects. Captain, an unknown thing, the same size as a small car, is heading towards the Earth's atmosphere, the blonde-haired male soldier said, getting his senior officer's attention towards him. Is it a meteoroid? Captain asked, looking down at the readings that were displayed on one of the computer screen. He was a tall, bald man with a long, vertical scar running across his left eye. No, Captain. It looks like some kind of a sphere to me, the female soldier said. She had beautiful, long black hair and tan skin. Both soldiers were back to back in their seats that were suspended in midair as they were trying to find more information about the unknown thing. An alien spaceship? The female soldier shook her head. We are not sure. Find out. Where is it heading? We can't. Something is interfering with the system. We can't get a lock. At this rate, it's going to land somewhere on Earth, the blonde-haired male said while typing on a keyboard. All computer screens suddenly turned black and strange symbols started scrolling across them. Seeing what was happening, the captain slammed his hand angrily on the table. What the hell is going on? He shouted, demanding an explanation. We're not sure, Captain. Someone has just hacked our computers, the female soldier responded, furiously typing on her keyboard to get any possible data. At this rate, there's nothing we can do, the male soldier added. His hands were moving quickly across his own keyboard. Captain scowled deeply as he looked up at the screen that made up on the roof. All computer screens suddenly replaced by a red symbol he had never seen before. The symbol had 4 concentric circles in a ripple pattern with 9 tomo in the 3 circles closest to the center. Slowly, more started to appear, covering all of the screens. I don't suppose you have an explanation for that, do you? Captain asked angrily. Sorry, Captain, but whatever it is, it's negating all of our attempts to connect our computers, the male soldier said. Damn, Captain thought, watching the last screen turn red before the symbol appeared once again, right in front of him. Only this time it was much bigger. A quick look around showed the same symbol behind him, and to his left and right. They remained there for a few seconds before disappearing. Captain, the black-haired female soldier said nervously. What? The system is returning to normal. But we've lost all our data on that thing, her partner added quickly after her. Damn it! Captain shouted. Contact all our bases and try to find out something about this. I have already done it, Captain, the female soldier said. And? They are all victims of the type of attack. It's one of the most powerful cyber attacks in our history. In between cyber attacks, the mystery spherical spacecraft entered the Earth's atmosphere and descended towards the world's coldest continent, Antarctica. It completely tore through an ice shelf and crashed onto the ground with a large explosion. The impact shook the entire area, causing cracks to appear in the ice and sending snow flying. The spacecraft opened and a figure crawled out. He stood at 5.11 feet. His face and body were hidden by the dark cloak he wore, the only discernible feature being 2 red eyes which glowed from under his hood. The man levitated up out of the crater. Looking at his ship, he did single-hand seal and the large spherical spacecraft shrunk down to the same size as a baseball. Floating the ship toward himself, he placed it into his pouch. A small ship is easy to hide, that's why I like it, the man thought to himself before vanishing into a swirling vortex. So this is the Earth. It was the same man from earlier. He was standing on one of the tallest buildings in the city of Metropolis. The man paused for a moment before removing his hood, revealing the familiar face of Naruto Uzumaki. Currently being physically 18 years old, he had lost all of his baby fat thanks to all of the training he had done over the years. He was tall, handsome, and muscle-bound but with a lean, athletic build. His cloak was billowing in the wind, showing that he wore a red-black sleeveless armor over a black shirt with steel shoulder plating and a circular red symbol on it. He also wore black pants with steel knee plating with a ninja pouch that was strapped to his right thigh as well as steel-toed black boots. On each hand, he wore fingerless gloves. There was a beautiful green crystal necklace hanging around his neck that had been made from a special crystal gem, Keshishiki. The necklace was once worn by the first Hokage of Konohagakure, Hashirama Senju. Master, could you please tell me what we are doing here on Earth? Karasa asked as she came out from his shadow. The Earth is famous for its so-called heroes and I personally want to meet them, especially Superman and Batman. The Earth's so-called heroes really were very famous in the other galaxies, especially Superman and Batman. Superman was famous for his strength and abilities while Batman for his intelligence and cunningness. He compared their abilities. They're like the yin-yang. But why? To see their strengths and weaknesses, he said. It will be fun to watch, because if there is one thing I love to do, it is messing with people's minds. Just like earlier today? He laughed softly and nodded. Yeah, but it has also helped me to create my fake ID. Now I've everything to prove that Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze is a citizen of the United States of America. Now what? We'll wait and watch. Suddenly, Supergirl passed from front of them. They turned to see she was heading towards the north section of the city by using her supersonic speed and ability of flight. And by the look on his face, she was in a hurry. Naruto said, Change in plan, Karasa-chan. We're going after her, but first. He pulled out a metallic half-mask from his pouch. Welcome back, Ryu. He placed new Ryu mask on his face as his blonde hair turned black and the mask attached to his face like a second skin. The new Ryu mask was almost completely white, with red and black marking just below its solitary eye hole. It had completely covered Naruto's left side of his face except his mouth and chin. Let's go! Lifting himself into the air, Naruto began to follow the unique energy mark of Supergirl. Ryu or Naruto reached there at the time to see both Superman and Supergirl in action. There were several armored trucks that were smoking. He turned himself invisible by using a chameleon jutsu to avoid unwanted attention before teleporting himself to a high tower to observe 2 super cousins. Both cousins seemed to be doing fine with bank robbers as the 2 super-powered siblings crashed in and blocked the bullets from men. The bullets merely bounced off their skins. Interesting, in appearance, Kryptonians are almost identical to humans and people of Element Nation, but under the influence of a yellow sun like Earth's, they get almost unimaginable superpowers, flight, superhuman strength and speed, invulnerability to almost any physical harm, Naruto thought. Looking at both super cousins, I need to find more about them. He watched Superman and Supergirl easily handle bank robber. They were doing all right, and the blonde cousin of Superman was proving not to be a slouch when it came to socking bad guys in the jaw. However, before Superman could capture the last robber, 2 green beams smashed into him, and he was sent flying back into one of the armored cars. Supergirl called out to her cousin's name in shock. She turned to find out who had attacked them, but she got her own answer when another pair of green beams came toward her direction. She managed to fly up, but the shooter hit her with another beams and she too hit the ground hard and fast. Seeing both Superman and Supergirl down, the shooter came out from the hiding. He was definitely different. He had a torn human face, yet the rest of him was all metal, wires, and a lot of other glowing parts. Metallo, Karasa said. She was resting on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto nodded. Metallo is an enemy of Superman. He was formerly a human criminal named John Corbin, but is now merely a brain within a robotic body. He is powered by a kryptonite heart, he explained. After hacking all military bases, he had all official and unofficial information on all criminals in the world. He reminds me of someone else I know. You mean Akasuna no Sasori, right? Yes, Sasori of the Red Sand, who had turned his own body into living puppet to become one with his art, he admitted. Just like Sasori, Metallo also has one weakness, and it is his kryptonite heart, but again Superman can't use it against him, because a kryptonite is Superman's main weakness. He smiled devilishly. Now I wish I had some popcorn because this will be an interesting fight. Metallo walked in front of Supergirl. He was ready to fire another blast. Not while I'm here, Superman shouted, after recovering from the blast. He punched Metallo away from Supergirl. Metallo retaliated by punching Superman hard in the gut. He went for another strike, but Superman tackled him to the ground. As the two fought, Supergirl took her chance and blasted him away from Superman with her heat vision. Naruto and Karasa were watching fight between Metallo and Super Cousins, who were not fully recovered from that kryptonite blast. A quick observation with his Sharingan told him that their energy reserves were low, and the green swirling that was inside them were eating away their energy. What do you think, Karasa-chan? Both Superman and Supergirl, they don't have any fighting, rarely kicks. A lot of the times, their strategy is simply overpowering their opponent, or use their other amazing abilities as an advantage and win the fight, she said. There was some seriousness in her voice. They need to learn proper fighting style. Yes, both Superman and Supergirl are immensely strong both in terms of muscle power and ability to take physical punishment, but they are not invincible, he said. It would be a good thing for them to learn to fight with a little more sophistication. Raw power works against everyday mooks, but many of their opponents are strong enough to fight evenly with them, and knowledge of grappling, holds, breaks, and pressure points would give them an edge in those situations. The fight between Metallo, Superman, and Supergirl was over. Metallo was lying motionless inside a large crater. Both Super Cousin went to pick up the supervillain. Without any backup plan, it's not a good idea to go near to your enemy who has your main weakness in his chest, Karasa said. Even though he looks unconscious, but we can't say that he's not faking it. Her suspicions turned true. I'm going to take you to a jail, Superman said, lifting Metallo off the ground. I don't think so, Metallo said suddenly, opening his chest cavity. Both Superman and Supergirl were immediately hit by kryptonite rays and fell on the ground. You're a fool, Superman. You had your chance, but you lost it. He fired kryptonite beams again at Superman and Supergirl. Both of them took direct hits as they cried out in pain. I'm your perfect enemy. I can use both of your weakness to my advantage. He prepared for another kryptonite blast, but suddenly, from nowhere, black blur impacted on him, throwing him at breaknecking speeds, smashing him into the armored van. The new person, who stood in front of them, was Naruto in the Ryu's mask. He was looking at Metallo while his black cloak was billowing in the wind. Supergirl blinked. But there is no wind here. Who the hell are you? Metallo said angrily. He had never expected that another hero would be here. Me. Ryu pointed a thumb at himself. Well, I'm no one. Metallo narrowed his eyes. Then get lost, he said, firing a kryptonite blast at Ryu. Ryu easily deflected a blast by making an invisible energy shield around him. Metallo rushed, seeing his attack had failed as he threw his punch at Ryu, who avoided it with his speed before punching Metallo hard on his jaw. I'm tired of this! Metallo shouted. With that, he leaped at Ryu, started throwing punch after punch, which Ryu kept dodging or blocking. You've impressive strength, but you don't have speed, Ryu said. After blocking many attacks, he began throwing some punches of his own. Metallo tried to keep up by blocking or dodging them, but Ryu was too fast for him. He was able to dodge the first few, but then punches began hitting him in the face and stomach. Once Ryu had done hitting him, he kicked Metallo in the stomach, which made him fly back and hit the ground hard. All onlookers were astonished at the display of power and speed of new man and a new hero for them. As for Metallo, he glared and got up. He grabbed a large section of the armored car, quickly tossed it at Ryu like a frisbee, a razor-sharp and jagged metallic frisbee to be more accurate. Ryu wasted no time. He quickly flipped over attack and moved to face Metallo. Two hit each other using only their fists. You know, being made of metal have a certain disadvantage, Ryu said as he and Metallo locked hands in a contest of strength in the city. What? Metallo said in frustration. He was preparing for a kryptonite blast. Because metal is a good conductor of the electricity, Ryu said. Using his strength and agility, Ryu kicked Metallo away from him. At the same time, he went through some hand seals as a black lightning started to crack in his right hand, before it was completely engulfed by it. The lightning was producing sounds as if thousands of birds were chirping in chorus. Kawachidori. He pointed his hand at Metallo. Sharp spear! As spear made of the black electricity shot towards Metallo, smashing into his body and sending several thousand volts of black electricity through him. Shit! Metallo cursed as the black electricity paralyzed his body, but his eyes winded in shock as he heard Ryu's voice from behind him. Don't let your enemy get behind you. Ryu summoned Amaterasu fire on the right hand and concentrated it into just the fingertips of his right hand before he shoved it in Metallo's back. Blaze release, hell stab one finger nookite. His hand pierced right through Metallo's armor and his chest, melting large portion of his armor and barely missing his kryptonite heart. Acting quickly, Ryu deactivated his technique and ripped out the Metallo's kryptonite heart from his chest as Metallo's eyes flickered on and off until they became completely dim. Seeing Metallo was down, and he wasn't going to up soon, not without his heart, Ryu began inspecting the kryptonite in his hand with his Sharingan. Interesting, this thing has so much power. I need to study it, he thought himself. He pulled out a circular disc-shaped device from his pouch and placed a kryptonite on it as a device formed the semi-transparent, white cub around kryptonite to secure it. It'll block the kryptonite's radiation inside. Then he transported the kryptonite in his personal dimension. Karasa-chan, do you know what to do? Ryu asked telepathically. Yes, master, Karasa replied before disappearing into shadow. Time to see those heroes. Then he moved to meet super cousins. Both Superman and Supergirl tried to get up as they felt the effects of a kryptonite was fading away. Superman was first recovered from his injuries, because he had more experience with the kryptonite than Supergirl. She was still on the ground, rubbing her head. Ugh! A teenage blonde groaned as she rubbed the back of her head. Are you okay? Man of Steel asked his cousin. Yes, just give me a few minutes. Both super cousins saw their mysterious savior was coming toward them. Man of Steel was curious about the new guy who looked around his cousin's age. As he tried his X-ray vision to see his full face, but it turned out complete failure. My X-ray vision can't see behind his mask, Man of Steel thought. Who is this guy? Naruto or Ryu came face to face with Superman, along with his cousin, Supergirl, as he raised his eyebrow on their style of clothing. I don't know about Superman, but he thought, his cousin is hot. That suit fits her in all the right places. Then he noticed that Superman was saying something to him. Did you say something? Both Superman and Supergirl's sweat dropped at his behavior. Thank you for saving me and my cousin, Superman said, extending his hand in front of him. I am in your debt. Don't worry about it, Ryu replied as he shook Superman's hand. Then he noticed the blonde beauty was rubbing back of her head. Kneeling in front of her, he placed a glowing green hand over her forehead. How are you feeling? Blushing slightly because his warm touch, Supergirl nodded when she felt pain was reduced. Thank you. No problem, Rhea said as he helped her to get up on her feet. Anyway, what is your name? Superman asked. We also want to know your name, a dark-haired beauty said as she walked near Naruto. She was definitely a looker with the dark hair, well-featured face, and eyes. I'm Lois Lane, reporter from the Daily Planet, and this. She pointed at the orange-haired and freckle-faced guy next to her. I'm Jimmy Olsen, one of the best photographers in the planet, the person said proudly. Anyway, Lois said, opening her leather purse and pulling out a small, finely made portable tape recorder. She placed it near Ryu's mouth. What is your name, hero? Call me Ryu, he answered. Dragon, Superman thought, hearing the young man's name. And Mississippi Lane, I'm not a hero, he added quickly after that. Lois gave him "Are you kidding me?" look and asked. So who are you and where did you come from? I'm no one, and I've come. He took a dramatic pause. I've come from nowhere. Lois glared at him, her eye twitching with annoyance. I think this is enough for today, Mississippi Lane. In the blink of eyes, he was standing a few meters away from her. Wow, Jimmy said. He was impressed by his speed. Before I go, I've one advice to both of you, Superman and Supergirl. You two are immensely strong and have the ability to take physical punishment, but you two are not invincible. Both of you need to learn proper fighting style. Ryu half-body started to disperse in a flock of crows, surprising to all onlookers. And one more thing, Superman, I'm taking this. He summoned the kryptonite, which was in semi-transparent white cub, and showed it to Superman. It's a payment for saving you and your beautiful cousin. His whole body disappeared in the form of a flock of crows. It was cool, Jimmy said with stars in his eyes. His style is even better than Batman. Batman rapidly typed on a keyboard as he was trying to find Joker's latest location in the Gotham when he blinked. Why do I feel the sudden urge to kill someone? He thought himself before shook his head and returned back to his work. The place resembled to the Jenga-esque maze which was looked to self-shifting, seemingly endless. Its walls were constructed of many different materials from stone to concrete. This was Naruto's personal dimension, Maze of Infinity, an alternate space that was linked with his Sharingan. It was one of the most complex mazes. It had its own illusion to confuse people. Also, unlike conventional mazes, which work in 3 dimensions, the puzzles in Naruto's maze were twisted through 4 or more dimensions, allowing people to walk upside down, up staircases that cannot really exist, and worlds that defied the laws of perspective. In short, it resembled to an expansive multidimensional maze with upside-down staircases, impossible perspectives and illusion capacity. The maze also had 9 continuously moving rooms. Each room had been different from each other. They, along with the maze's center, were only safest places in the dimension. Also, unlike traditional mazes, Naruto's maze didn't have any entrance or exit. It didn't have the sky. Only Naruto and Karasu had powers to enter and exit from this dimension and manipulate its structures. Currently, Naruto was in the center of the puzzle. It was a large, circular hall that can easily hold many people. It had paintings of all Hokage with some important ninja in the Element Nation. The ceiling of the hall looked like the sky. It mirrored the weather without any of the negative effects. The center of the hall had the large red symbol which was resembled to the Jubi's red eyes. In the middle of hall, Naruto was sitting in front of the holographic screen. His fingers were flying through the holographic keyboard, which was floating in front of him. Behind the screen was a kryptonite, which was in the same semi-transparent white cub. Naruto was analyzing the initial scan data of the green kryptonite. Learn something new every day, he said while typing rapidly on the holographic keyboard. These are serious energy readings. What did you find, Master? Karasu asked as she was watching Naruto. This small object has so much energy. It has enough power to fuel a large city, he explained. And about its effects on Kryptonians. I think Kryptonians in some ways are a living solar battery. Their cells absorb electromagnetic radiation from stars like our Sun. A kryptonite's radioactivity possibly interferes with this process, driving the energy out of their cells in a painful fashion. It's only my theory. However, to reach any conclusion, I need a Kryptonian blood. Superman or Supergirl's blood? Naruto nodded. Well, they are only Kryptonians I know, but I'll think about it later, he said. He clicked some buttons on the holographic keyboard as a new screen appeared, showing a three-dimensional holographic image of the human DNA structure and a human body. I've found out another interesting thing about a kryptonite. Its radiation is not completely harmless to humans. Look at this. Another image appeared in front of them, showing a green dragon statue. This is the image of the laughing dragon. It was carved in the china from a green rock thought to be a jade. However, the rock was in fact a kryptonite. According to the data, the laughing dragon had earned quite a foreboding reputation. Ever since it was carved in China nearly 30 years ago, it had passed through several owners, all of whom died prematurely. The image of the laughing dragon in front of him disappeared. However, in comparison to Kryptonians, the kryptonite radiation takes too much time to show any ill effect on humans. He started to analyze more data on the screen. After a few minutes of silence, he spoke up once more. Karasa-chan, did you find it? Yes, master, she said. Clark Kent. Naruto typed something into his holographic keyboard and three-dimensional holographic images of Clark Kent and Superman appeared side by side. Only two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the former, he murmured to himself while looking at both images. Seriously, they have the same height, same size and same build. They also have the same facial structure. Other than Clark's goggles and their hairstyle, they don't have any much difference. People are always failing to see the underneath of the underneath, master. Or they have always overlooked simplest thing, he said. Then something clicked in his mind and he smiled. If Clark Kent is Superman then. He began typing into a keyboard for several minutes. An image of 17-year-old girl with blue eyes and blonde hair appeared in front of them. Kara Kent, the cousin of Clark Kent. Supergirl. Three-dimensional holographic images of both Clark Kent and Kara Kent were transformed into their alter egos, Superman and Supergirl. It was a rainy day. Light rain pelted soundlessly against the ground, dampening the earth. The atmosphere was unusually humid, yet a cool, faint breeze swam just above the surface. The clouds were swiftly becoming dark, threatening for worse weather to come. In the meantime, our favorite ninja was hovering above the cloud while Karasu was flying next to him. His black cloak was flowing behind him, almost as if they were a pair of wings. It's a time, he said. He bit his thumb and went through a large series of hand seals before slamming his hand down on the cloud. Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique. A silver circle runes appeared in the sky as if an invisible hand writing it. A small dark portal formed in the center of the rune circle before it was replaced by a dark hole that seemed to suck out everything in the sky. Then one of the huge, turtle-shaped, floating island emerged from the portal followed by countless other floating rocks. It was the Sky Island, Sorijima, hovering over the cloud by using the fusion of the ancient Fuinjutsu and the high-tech alien technology. The island was very large and appeared to be filled with large forests, which was filled with rare herbs and poison plants, and small hills, plus several taller ones, and a mountain as well. It had a spiral-shaped lake, similar to the Uzumaki clan symbol, in the center. This island was once part of the Uzushiyogakure before its destruction, so it had many hidden Uzumaki clan's temples, secret hideout and many secret training grounds. The island was pretty much a good example of the ancient ninja era. After seeing the Sky Island, Naruto said, "Let's go, Karasa-chan." He and Karasu disappeared into the swirling vortex and appeared on the Sky Island in front of an expensive-looking house. The house was one of the noticeable modern structures in the Sky Island. It had been built over one of the highest cliffs in the island. The house was very large and beautiful. Around it had a large garden, a water fountain, big training ground and large free space for special occasions. Home sweet home, Naruto said as he and Karasu entered the house. From inside, the house was the perfect mixture of modern art and high alien technology. It had large living room, gym, kitchen, master bedroom, extra room for guests. It also had a library that contained various books on literatures, alien languages, history of various planets, and some basic medical books. Other than these things, the house had the secret underground base. It was much larger than a house itself. It had well-equipped high-tech laboratory, weapon room with all kinds of weapons from kunai to high-tech alien weapons, medical room that had all high-tech medical equipment. The base also had its secret library. Unlike library in the house, it was filled with most dangerous books. It had scrolls on ninjen taijutsu, medical jutsu, and the scroll of seals as well as the knowledge of the Uzumaki Uchiha Senju clan, knowledge various alien technology, and many more. Naruto couldn't use a magic, but the library had so many books on magic. In short, underground library was holding most dangerous knowledge of the element nation and the universe. The base had a storage room for various objects that Naruto had stolen or acquired in his travel and battle. Another thing, base had a large empty space for spaceships and space pods. The one of the most important thing was the whole house and base were linked through Lion or Merlin, most enhanced revolutionary life form and intelligent network, an artificially intelligent computer. Merlin, Naruto called. Intently, a holographic image materialized in front of him. It was Merlin. He had a humanoid shape similar to Naruto with Kakashi's hairstyle. His eyes were bright green. His body made of light green, tiny binary codes that were continuously moving inside of him. "Welcome, Master," he said in a British accent. "Start the process." Lion nodded. "Process will be started within 1 minute." After 1 minute, a large blue barrier began to form around the Sky Island. The barrier had Fuinjutsu marking over it. After completely covering the whole island, it started to turn the island invisible. "That's why I like the fusion of the ancient Fuinjutsu and modern technology," Naruto said, smirking. The whole Sky Island disappeared from the sky. After finishing his usual morning routine, Naruto was walking towards a dining table for breakfast. He dressed in black sleeveless jacket, brown pant and black ninja sandal as Lion materialized beside him. "Master, the breakfast will be ready in few minutes. Do you want any specific?" he asked politely. "No, thank you, Merlin," Naruto said while he was still walking. Lion nodded, then he disappeared. Naruto reached at a dining table and sat down on one of the dining chairs. A few minutes later, small floating robots came with his breakfast, but he didn't notice them. He was thinking about the incident that created Lion accidentally, 6 years ago. Flashback start. "It's done," Naruto said. He was in his outer space lab, analyzing samples of his new experiment. He had a conical flask in his hand. The liquid inside the flask was shifting in color from silver to blood red. "What is it?" Karasu asked curiously. "Do you remember our incident on that isolated planet? Are you talking about that small alien robot?" "Yes, after looking closely at it and its armor, I found out this," he said, showing her holographic data and some weird DNA structure. "A DNA structure?" she said. The shock was clearly visible in her voice. "It wasn't an alien robot. It was a dead body of an alien," he said. "His immersed material is stronger than any material I've seen. It's strong but not so heavy. It's also a highly heat resistant. It also has some interesting quality like it can grow, it can heal and many more. Now, just imagine all the things that we can do with it if we succeeded to fuse it to living tissue or whole body. A metallic body that can withstand any kinds of damage and attack." Naruto nodded before he showed her flask in his hand. "It's a prototype, a mixture of my blood and some sample of that alien metal. I tried to fuse it with my blood, but healing factor in my blood is resisting the process. So what now? I'm going to use my new medical seal and fusion beam emitter that I borrowed from the planet Z's scientists." "You have stolen it from them." "Whatever, Karasu-chan," Naruto said. He did hand seals as a singlewood clone formed beside him. Go and take control of fusion beam emitter. The clone gave him salute before he walked in front of a holographic computer screen. Real Naruto shook and walked towards the specific area in the lab. It was a small room. The entire room was covered with a complicated ceiling array, and its entrance was protected by thick protective glass. There was also a large fusion beam emitter that was pointing at the center of the room's flooring. Naruto placed the flask below the fusion beam emitter and came outside of the room. He placed the protective goggle on his eyes. He 3-hand seals before putting both hands on the door. As all seals on door and room lit up so bright that the entire room went white. At the same time, Clone Naruto started fusion beam emitter. The reaction was instant. The room lit up so bright that not even the Sharingan could see anything. What is the condition of the prototype? Naruto asked his Wu clone. It's stable. His clone replied, reading the data on the holographic screen. Suddenly, the screen started beeping loudly, showing them much different readings than before. Shit! It's becoming unstable. He started to type rapidly on the keyboard. Stop the chakra! Real Naruto stopped supplying the chakra to the seal and quickly moved away from the door. The prototype became more unstable. The green light flashed, blasting the whole room as a large crack formed on the inside of protective glass. A few minutes later, everything went back to normal. Start the process to remove remaining smoke from the room. Real Naruto ordered as his clone nodded and typed some command on the screen as vacuums started to remove the smoke from inside. When the smoke cleared from the room, Naruto and his clone entered the room. The room was completely mess. The blast had destroyed all ceiling arrays and most part of the fusion beam emitter. This experiment is a complete failure, Naruto said. Boss, look at this! Clone Naruto shouted. He was pointing at the small, baseball-size, green energy ball on the floor. It was lying on the same spot where he had placed his prototype before. Real Naruto went there and started to examine it. Pick it up, he told his clone. And why should I? It looks dangerous, Clone replied. Because I'm original. Grumbling something in his breath like original bastard, Clone picked up the energy ball with his bare hand. It tickles, a childish voice came from the ball. Huh, did this thing just talks to us? Clone asked. I think so, Naruto said. He took the energy ball from his clone's hand. Then he placed the other hand on his clone and absorbed him back into his body. Are you my creator? Naruto looked at the energy ball, whom had spoken to him. Yes, I think so, he replied. Even though it was an accident. He shook his head. Anyway, what is your name and what are you? I don't know. Then let's find out. So what is he? Kurasa asked. After deep scan, I've found out that he's a fusion of living metal and my chakra, Naruto said, looking at the holographic screen in front of him. I wanted to fuse that alien metal with my blood cell, but it somehow managed to fuse with my chakra. He's some kind of living forms of chakra and metal? She asked in a surprised tone. An artificial tailed beast. Not really, well, I don't know, but unlike us, he can't replenish his chakra, he told her. If I'm correct, he will disappear within 6 months. So I'll die in 6 months, that sucks, a green ball of energy said, after hearing Naruto's statement. I want to see many things. I want to see the whole universe. The holographic screen behind him suddenly started to change, showing images of different planets. Naruto raised his eyebrow. How did you do that? He asked. You mean this? An energy ball said as he changed the screen again. I don't know, but somehow, I can read data in the system. Interesting, Naruto said, eyeing the green energy ball carefully. He has very limited power supply, but if I think there's a way to save you. Whole month Naruto was working non-stop in his lab. He made modifications in his lab to the new system. It's done, he said, placing the last part in its right place. After typing commands on the keyboard, he activated the new system. Suddenly, the green-colored binary numbers began appearing on the holographic screen. The screen started to disintegrate as a new humanoid figure materialized in front of him. He had a shape similar to 12-year-old boy with spiky hairstyle, and had bright green eyes. His body made of light green, tiny binary codes that were continuously moving inside of him. "How are feeling?" Naruto asked. "Better than before," the figure said. "What did you do?" "You had very limited power supply. To solve this problem, I did connect your body with my lab's power supply and its main network," Naruto said. "Now you have much more control over all electronics in the lab. Anyway, I always wanted an assistant, and with your power, you would be a great assistant to me. What do you think, Merlin?" "Merlin? It's your name. Most Enhanced Revolutionary Life Form and Intelligent Network, in short MERLIN. Thank you. I will be more than happy to assist you, Master." Flashback end. "Master," MERLIN said as he materialized in front of him again. "Yes, Merlin," Naruto replied while drinking orange juice. "You need to see this." A holographic copy of today's Daily Planet newspaper appeared in front of Naruto. After reading the Daily Planet's front page headline "New Hero in Town," Naruto spit out his orange juice in a wide spray over the table. "What the hell?" he shouted. "I had clearly told her that I'm not a hero." "Maybe she thought that you were kidding," MERLIN said. "Lois, what are we doing here?" Jimmy asked as he and Lois were heading toward the Metropolis City Bank. "I've some my personal task," Lois answered his question. "But why I'm here?" "To give me company." "God, I hate going to the bank," he mumbled to himself. "What?" "Nothing, Lois." They entered the city bank. When they were a few meters away from a counter, they heard a familiar voice. "Hello, Mississippi Lane." Turning in the direction of the voice, they recognized Ryu, lying against a wall. He wasn't wearing his cloak, showing that he was tall, handsome, more muscle-bound, but with an athletic build. "Ryu," Lois said. "Mississippi Lane, we need to talk," he said in a serious tone. "About what?" "About the Daily Planet's front page headline," he said as he went straight point. "I thought I had clearly told you that I'm not a hero." She raised her eyebrow. "I thought you were kidding." His sweat dropped. Merlin was right. "Why people aren't noticing you?" Jimmy asked suddenly, seeing strange behavior of most of the people. "You are really famous after your fight with Metallo." "Because for them we aren't here," Ryu said. "Go and try talk to someone." Jimmy went near to the first person to talk to him, but he didn't even take a glance at him. The same thing happened to every person he had tried to talk. While Jimmy was busy, Ryu was talking with Lois. "Mississippi Lane, I'm not joking. I'm not." He didn't even get a chance to say more word as automatic gunfire came from the entrance of the bank. The door burst open and 5 men, wearing black ski masks and holding rifles, barged in. "Everyone, get on the ground!" the muscular man shouted as everyone knelt down on the ground, some people screaming or crying. After seeing the whole thing, Ryu couldn't help but ask Lois, "Is a bank robbery common things in the metropolis?" Not waiting for her answer, he grabbed a shuriken from his pouch. Putting wind chakra into it, he tossed it at the first robber, cutting straight through his rifle. "What?" Robber shouted in shock as his rifle fell on the ground in 2 pieces. Ryu, taking advantage of the situation, appeared in front of robbers. He kicked one robber viciously in his head. The impact was heard throughout the bank. The body was sent flying into the wall with a loud crack. Then he swung around and started kicking left and right. The attacks hit and sent 2 robbers flying. He disappeared and reappeared behind last 2 robbers. He grabbed their head and slammed into each other, knocking them unconscious. This all happened within less than a minute. "Whoa!" Jimmy said. Suddenly, Supergirl entered the bank. "I've heard the sirens," she said. "You're kind of late," Ryu said, walking away from a last unconscious robber. "Ryu," Supergirl said as she recognized him. "I thought you are not a hero," Lois said. She pointed at unconscious robbers. "So what was that?" "They were annoying me." "Why don't you want to be a hero?" Supergirl asked him. Sorry, some guys don't like to play a hero. He stopped walking. Goodbye, he said before sinking into the floor like a ghost. Man, it was more awesome than a flock of crows, Jimmy said after he saw Ryu's new technique. He reminds me of two people I know, Lois said. Who? Jimmy asked. Batman and Superman, Supergirl answered. Lois nodded and said, an extremely arrogant Batman with Superman-like power. It was late at night, and the moon was high up into the star-filled sky, shining brightly on the rather noisy city below. Metropolis City was never quiet. No matter what. Lots of people liked to play late-night events, they were rather fun. Supergirl was doing patrolling. She was standing on the highest tower in the metropolis. Suddenly, she saw a single red eye before everything went black. A few minutes later, Supergirl woke up, rubbing her head. What just hit me? The blonde-haired beauty asked herself. Are you alright? Huh, Supergirl answered. Then she blinked and looked up to see a familiar face. Ryu. Yes, Ryu said. He was looking at her. You were unconscious. What happened? I don't remember anything. It must be stress, he said. You need rest. He held his hand in front of her. Taking his hand, Supergirl stood up on her feet. Thanks, she said. And you are right, I really need rest. Anyway, Supergirl, if you ever need my help, just ask, he said as he placed a black circular device, same size of a coin, in her hand. And take this. What is this? She took it from his hand. A small device. Using it you can contact me in any emergency. Thanks again, she said, smiling. There's no need for thanks, Supergirl, he said. However, remember one thing, use this device only in emergency like you or this world are in danger, because I'm not a social worker. After saying this to her, Ryu vanished in the swirling vortex. Naruto was in his underground lab of Sky Island, sitting in front of holographic computer. Did you succeed in it? Amira Lion asked, appearing on the screen. Yes, Naruto said as he took out a small, tube-like, silver-colored device from his pouch and placed it on the table. Good thing that she doesn't remember anything. Now we have not only her blood, but also her full body scan data. The device transformed into a small mosquito-like robotic creature. It had a sharp, green-colored needles-like mouth, which was made up from a kryptonite. The creature had a red liquid in his tail. It was Supergirl's blood. Secure her blood, Merlin. It'll help us to study the kryptonite's effect on the Kryptonians, Naruto said. A small robot came forward and took device to secure the blood. Naruto walked down the streets with the hood over his face. He was in normal civilian clothes, white t-shirt, brown pant, black shoes and black sleeveless jacket with hood. He was in Gotham City, the home of Batman, the Dark Knight, also other heroes such as Robin and Batgirl. Yet, it was also home of very dangerous supervillains such as the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Riddle, and Scarecrow. The crime and corruption in this city were very high. The city has too much negative emotion, Naruto thought. It was basically night time, and he was walking around in the dark. However, looking around, Naruto saw the Dark Knight really needed all the help he could get to this place. Not that I'm here to help, he thought. Then his sharp eyes noticed movement in the dark. Looks like Lady Luck still likes me. He disappeared into the swirling vortex and reappeared in the dark alley, wearing his armor and cloak. He took the Ryu mask from his pouch and placed it on his face as his blonde hair turned black. He took steps back into the dark and vanished into the darkness. A dark figure jumped from building to building in the Gotham City. His cape flowed like black water behind him. Soundlessly, he seemingly flew from rooftop to rooftop, making sure the city was safe. He paused and surveyed his surroundings. Nothing, the Gotham had been quiet for some time now. He shrugged, but before he could jump down to his car, his instinct told him to move. He quickly jumped back to avoid shurikens that struck the ground where he had been a second before. You've good reflex, Batman, a voice said from dark chuckles. Batman turned to the direction of the voice and squinted his eyes. Who are you? He asked. The figure moved into the light as he saw his face and recognized the man. Ryu. You know me? Ryu said. Well, it's my honor. I know you. You are a new hero from the metropolis, Batman said. What are you doing here in the Gotham? First, I'm not a hero, Ryu said. He took his fighting stance. Second, I'm here to test you. With that, he lunged at Batman and punched in his chest, only for Batman blocked it thanks to his battle reflexes. You got some speed, Bat, Ryu commented before he blocked Batman's fist with his palm and then jumped back as Batman attempted to hit him with a roundhouse kick. Ryu threw some shuriken at him. However, Batman quickly ducked to the side to evade it and then lunged forward at Ryu. Narrowing his eyes and pressing his foot back, Ryu caught the fist and slid 1 foot forward, sweeping Batman's legs out from under him. After that, he turned on his heel and threw him over his shoulder. Flipping in the air, Batman came to the ground with a light thud. He is good, Batman thought as he lunged forward once more, flipping into a roundhouse kick, which Ryu easily evaded. Then Ryu quickly lashed out with a punch to Batman's jaw as he stumbled back. I need to be a bit more careful around him. He is not amateur. They traded blow after blow, seeming to be equally matched. He is mirroring my style. But if he is mirroring my moves, Batman thought as he narrowed his eyes. Ryu leaped up and attempted a knee strike, but Batman blocked it with his palm and then placed something on the boy's neck. The young man quickly elbowed Batman in the face, knocking him back. The Dark Knight quickly got to his feet and, reaching into his utility, he pulled out a small device. He pressed a red button. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound hit Ryu's ears. He yelled and held his hands to the side of his head. What the hell? He shouted. It's my micro sound amplifier device. I created it specifically for metahumans and other beings with an advanced hearing factor, Batman said while walking towards Ryu, who was on his knees, holding his hands to the side of his head. It was only my guess that you have some kind of super hearing. Why, you are good, but not everything you see is true, Ryu said before bursting into a murder of crows. What? Suddenly, Batman felt something cold pressed to his neck. Batman, you need to be more careful, but it's too late for now, Ryu said from behind him, holding a strange knife on his neck. Goodbye. He shoved his kunai into his neck. Batman felt a sharp pain in his neck, one that could be defined as clearly different to the rest of the pain. He saw a white light. A flash. Almost blinding with its brightness. And then it all went dark. He couldn't see anything and he didn't know what was going on. Then, suddenly, everything went normal. He found himself in the same place from where all had started and there was no sign of Ryu. Was it my imagination? Batman thought. I don't think so. He was still feeling pain from the fight. He jumped down to the Batmobile, which was waiting in the shadows. Any trouble tonight, sir? Alfred's British accent voice came from the speaker. Batman picked up his Bat communicator. Yes, the Dark Knight whispered as he jumped into his car. He headed for Wayne Manor. I want you to find out everything about new hero Ryu. Why? I encountered him today. He is quite dangerous. The Batcave was the secret headquarters of Batman, consisting of a series of subterranean caves beneath the residence of his secret identity. Bruce Cave's centerpiece was a supercomputer whose specs were on par with any of those used by leading national security agencies. It permitted global surveillance and also connected to a massive information network as well as storing vast amounts of information, both on Batman's foes and his allies. Alfred Pennyworth, Wayne family butler, currently, was typing on the Bat computer to find information on Metropolis' newest hero Ryu. Alfred, did you find anything? Bruce aka Batman asked. Other than some common information about him, I got nothing, Alfred said. I even checked CCTV footage of Metropolis Street, but I got nothing. This guy is like Ghost. So what did you find? Only this, Alfred said, pressing some button of the Bat computer as Ryu's photo, same photo from the Daily Planet, and information about him appeared on the screen. Ryu Dragon. Real name, unknown. Age, around 18 to 19. Place of birth, unknown. Species, human assumed. Hair black. eyes dark blue. Affiliations unknown. Powers and abilities. Master hand-to-hand combatant. Stealth. Teleportation. Flight. Super speed, strength, reflexes, agility through unknown means. He can manipulate and produce the black lightning. Extents of these abilities are unknown. Weaponry, shurikens. Alfred, add another one in that, Bruce said. Illusion. Both Bruce and Alfred didn't notice a small metallic millipede that came out from the bat suit and went inside the bat computer. Naruto was sitting on the couch in his living room, leaning back, holding a book on advanced medical technique in his hand. He was reading a book when suddenly, YamiNaruto materialized in front of him. Master, it's done. Good work, Merlin, Naruto said, closing the book. Now show me. A large holographic map of the Gotham City appeared in front of him. Where is Batman? YamiNaruto pointed at the red dot, and then zoomed in on that area. This is the Wayne Manor, the stately residence of billionaire Bruce Wayne. Using our spy bots, I scanned whole area and I found this, he said, showing underground hidden structure of the manor. Kakashi was right, a ninjas must look underneath the underneath, Naruto said while smirking. Who would have thought, multi-billionaire, Playboy Bruce Wayne is the famous Dark Knight, Batman, but then again Batman has some high-tech gadget and Bruce is the only person in Gotham who has enough money and technology to make something like that. He was really impressed by Bruce's acting skill, which wasn't easy. Anyway, what is the condition of our hacker? It has successfully connected to Batman's supercomputer, YamiNaruto said. The Bat computer is one of the most highly advanced computer hardware systems in this entire planet. It is protected by computer security. It is not easy to bypass for any Earthling computers, but not for me. I have already downloaded all data from it. Do you want to see it? Yes. A holographic screen began to show the information of many Gotham's supervillains and villainous. Merlin, stop, Naruto said. Then he pointed at the image of beautiful women with red hair. Show me all information on her. Poison Ivy. Real name, Pamela Lillian Isley. A.K.A. Daphne Demeter, Red Series. Species, human. Hair, red, originally reddish blonde. Eyes green. Base, Gotham City. Affiliations, Harley Quinn. Powers and abilities. Toxic immunity. Control of plant life. Weaponry, plants and toxins. She is depicted as one of the world's most prominent eco-terrorists. She is obsessed with plants, botany, and environmentalism. She uses toxins from plants and her own bloodstream for her criminal activities, which are usually aimed at protecting the natural environment. Fellow villainous Harley Quinn is her recurring partner in crime and possibly her only human friend. Interesting, her power is similar to the wood release, Naruto said. Merlin, what is her latest location? No clue. Not even Batman knows about her location. Send some our spy bots to find her, Naruto said as he stood up and began to walk away from there. Also keep tab on Bat Computer and Batman. Master, why do you want to know everything about Earth's villains and heroes? YamiNaruto asked. He didn't understand why he wanted to know about it. Naruto stopped in his tracks, turned around to face him. Know your enemy and know yourself and you can fight 100 battles without disaster, he said. They are not my enemy now, but in the future, I am not sure, I can't predict the future, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Naruto was doing his daily workouts, push-ups, in the open training ground when a small flying disc stopped in front of him. It opened and Merlin materialized in front of him. Master, spy bots have founded location of Poison Ivy. Good job, Merlin, Naruto said without looking at him or stopping his push-ups. Keep tabs on her. Merlin nodded before he dematerialized from there. It wasn't a good day for Batgirl and Robin. Just a few hours ago, Batman had found out Poison Ivy's plan of turning Gotham City into green forests by using her new supergrowth formula. So he went after her, to stop her, one of the most dangerous criminal, leaving them to deal with simple Gotham National Bank robbery. But to their bad luck, the robber turned out to be Batman's another enemy. Bane, Robin said. Bane was a large man. Well, well. Bat has sent his two little sidekicks to fight, he said. He charged towards both of them. Both Robin and Batgirl moved in time to avoid the attack. Bane pumped more venom into himself and continued to attack on them. Citizens were fleeing the scene, abandoning their cars that Bane was picking up and hurling at them as Batgirl jumped to right and hid behind a mailbox. Pulling out a batarang from her belt, she waited for a chance for Bane to show his back, where hoses fell from the back of his head and ran down his arms to the back of his hands. On his back was the venom supply. She was waiting for a chance to cut the venom supply while Robin was trying to distract Ben. Seeing that he could not hit them, Bane roared in frustration as Robin jumped onto the back of Bane's head about to cut the hose. "What's the matter?" Robin laughed. "Can't." A powerful hand gripped the boy. Bane hurled Robin towards the hiding Batgirl, but the graceful boy wonder rolled with the throw and came to a stop beside Barbara. "He seems pretty angry, much more than usual," she remarked. "Yeah, so I noticed," Robin replied before he smirked and pointed at several small metal pellets under Ben's feet. "But I've done my job." The metal pellets began to beep before erupting. They encased Bane's feet and legs in a thick layer of ice that immobilized him. Taking advantage of this situation, Robin hurled his weapon as Barbara did the same, and they watched as the blades sliced through the air. Bane raised his hands to beat them away, but they were too fast and they struck the hoses, but they did not break. Robin cursed his luck. "Well, shit! You have to do better than your old tricks." Bane smiled as he balled his fists and slammed them down onto the ice. It took several poundings before it would shatter, but he was free once again. "He has better hoses and the pack is armored," Batgirl said. Bane reached for a car on the street. His fat fingers dug into the metal doors and he lifted it over his head with ease. They threw the car like a javelin at them as Robin and Batgirl rolled out its way. Quickly, Robin reached into his belt to pull out several more spheres and threw them at Bane's feet. They struck the asphalt and erupted and encased the monster's feet that flashlights that dazed and confused him. Seeing nothing but white, Bane growled and punched wildly. Seeing her chance, Batgirl landed on the back Bane's head, clutching another batarang like a dagger. Out of reaction, Bane reached up to grasp her, and his fingers found her cape. "Oh!" Batgirl yelped. Bane grasped the cape and pulled her off. He whipped his arm back and held Batgirl in front of him. He was prepared to slam her into the asphalt, when he felt a light tap on his shoulder. "Excuse me," an unfamiliar voice said from behind him. Bane turned his head, but he received a heavy blow to the ribs as he dropped Batgirl. Then he received another hit on his stomach as the impact sent him flying into another building, where he left a large hole in the wall. "Batgirl, are you all right?" Robin asked, helping her to get up on her feet. "Yeah," Batgirl said before she looked at her savior. She immediately recognized his face that Batman had warned about. "Ryu?" "Yes, one and only," Ryu said, looking at Batman's both sidekicks. Batgirl had red hair and her costume was dark and looked similar to Batman, while Batman's other sidekicks, Robin, the boy wonder, well, he was in a red bodysuit with green boots and a yellow cape. Ryu didn't know why Batman had chosen it for him because it wouldn't help him to blend with anything except a traffic light. "You know your costume looks similar to a traffic light, right?" Ryu asked the boy. He wanted to make it sure that the boy in front of him knew the truth about his costume. Robin nearly fell on his face after hearing his question, causing Batgirl giggle. "It's not looked like a traffic light," the boy wonder shouted at Ryu. "Really?" Ryu asked. "Then why is it in red, green, and yellow color?" Before the boy wonder could protest, Bane came out of the hole. "Who hell are you?" Bane shouted. He didn't wait for an answer. He tore Naruto with the intention of smash his skull, but to his surprise, his fist passed right through Ryu like he wasn't even there. Not even a single hair of Ryu's head had harmed. Ryu caught Bane's wrist after his last punch completely passed through him. He easily threw Bane away from him into a car. It didn't hurt him that much as the car bent around him. Bane stood up. He was completely unharmed. He ran toward Naruto again, but he suddenly froze as he saw Ryu's red eyes. He fell on his knees, clutching his head in pain as he found himself in the gaze of 1,000 crows and their strange red eyes. "Leave me alone!" he screamed before falling to the ground, unconscious. "What happened to Bane?" Robin said. "1 second, he was ready to punch him, and then the next second, he is on the ground, unconscious." "I don't know, Robin, but just remember the Batman's warning. Stay away from that man," Batgirl said, watching Ryu corner of her eyes, who was busy with looking at unconscious Bane before she turned to Robin. "He is an unknown actor. There are many things we don't know about, like his powers and purpose." Robin nodded his head as he remembered Batman's warning about Ryu. "You should thank me for saving your life," a voice said from behind them. Both Batman's sidekicks jumped nearly a mile in shock before they turned and saw who was talking. It was Ryu. "How did you sneak up on us?" Robin asked. "For Batman's sidekicks, both of you have a very poor awareness of your surroundings," Ryu stated. "I just walked here when both of you were busy in talking." I really started to hate this guy, the boy wonder thought. "Batgirl," Alfred's voice came from the speaker in her mask. "Yes," Batgirl replied, walking away from Ryu. "Batman need yours and Robin's help." "We're on the way," she said before she turned to Robin. "Robin, let's go. Batman wants our help." "Then let's go," Robin said. He was ready to help Dark Knight. "If you asked me nicely, maybe I'll help you," Ryu said. Robin said, "We don't need your help." "Oh, so you're going to face Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn alone," Ryu told them. "What?" Robin said as he quickly turned to him. "No one mentioned that she is with Ivy." "And how did you know about that?" Batgirl asked, narrowing her eyes at him. Ryu gave them smirk. "Do you want my help or not?" Both Batgirl and Robin thought for a minute before nodding. "Good." He walked toward them and placed his hands on their shoulders. Robin was about to say something, when all of a sudden the scenery around them changed. He looked around and realized that they were now in front of an old, abandoned warehouse. He could see numerous tree branches stretching out from its windows and roof. "Teleportation?" Batgirl asked, looking at Ryu. "Maybe." Ryu smirked before turning his back to see Ivy's hideout. "Looks like Ivy has decided to start her plan." "It's locked," Robin said. They were outside of the warehouse's back door, trying to open it. Batgirl pulled out a small explosive, which they used to open doors, from her utility belt. Before she could blast the door, Ryu stopped her. "Allow me," he said. He phased through the door and opened the door from inside for others. Batgirl went in first, followed by Robin. Inside of the warehouse looked similar to a green forest with full of trees, plants, vines and dark-colored flowers, even green grass. She is really Mother Nature," Ryu said as he stepped into Ivy's forest, followed by both Batman's sidekicks. "If Ivy's super growth formula can do this, then I don't want to know what she will do with Gotham," Batgirl said, looking around. The trees seemed to watch them as they passed. "Do you feel like the trees are watching us?" the boy wonder asked as he looked his left and right. "Not really," Ryu said. "You're just getting paranoid, Robin," Batgirl said. They just took another step. The roof burst wide open with huge vines as they wrapped tightly around their ankles and pulled them down before they could react. The vines grabbed their hands and wrapped them together tightly so they couldn't free themselves. The darkness started to take over them. They lost all consciousness. When Batgirl and Robin opened their eyes, they found themselves trapped in large vines with thorns and in front of two felonious women, one that looked like she popped right out of a deck of playing cards, and one that had pale, almost green skin. She wore an all-green leopard and had red hair. "Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy," Robin said. Poison Ivy grinned, moaning as she put her hand to her chin. Well, Batman, your little sidekicks had come here to rescue you, but sadly, they caught in my little trap." Both Batgirl and Robin turned around to see Batman was in the same condition like them. "Batman," Batgirl said. "Now tell me, little Bat and Bird, where is your third teammate?" Ivy asked. Both Batman's sidekicks looked around. They found no sign of Ryu. A voice said, "I am here." They turned in the direction of the voice to see Ryu. He was sitting on the tree branch. Yo! He greeted. He jumped from the tree to the ground and began walking towards Ivy and Harley. Ryu? Batman said before he turned his head towards Batgirl and Robin. You've brought Ryu with you. I did warn you to stay away from him. Well, it was Batgirl's idea, Robin said as he was trying to keep Batman's anger away from him. Robin! Batgirl shouted. She glared at him. Then she turned to Batman. It was our idea. That time I thought it was a good idea. A new hero, Ivy said. Harley suggested. Hey, Red! Let's play with him. Sure. Lifting her arms, Ivy summoned vines, which wrapped around Ryu, covering his whole body. Not much challenge. Boo! Harley said in disappointment. Then Ryu phased through Ivy's prison, shocking them. He raised his hand that held the throwing star. Sharpening them with wind chakra, he tossed them at vines which were holding Batman and his sidekicks. They cut all vines loose, freeing them from Ivy's trap. Don't worry, you won't be disappointed, he said, smirking. In a flash, a beautiful, black katana appeared in his hand. Now let's dance. We'll see, Ivy said. Spreading her arms, she sent a wave of vines crawling towards Ryu. Ryu lifted his katana and rapidly slashed at the air. 100 wind blades, he said, sending the wind blades cutting through the vines. Suddenly, the ground shook and foot-wide Venus flytraps emerged, littering the ground like a field of bear traps, each one ready to spring shut at a moment's notice. Ryu jumped up on a tree branch to avoid traps. He stabbed his sword on a tree branch. He took some shuriken before performing some hand seals. Fire release, Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson, he said, unleashing a volley of shuriken with one hand, and at the same time, he exhaled fire-infused chakra onto them, sending them rushing towards Venus flytraps. The attack hit the multiple targets, burning them completely. This smaller-scale attack did only damage to Venus flytraps without setting Ivy's forest or a whole warehouse on fire. Batman and his companions stood around at a safe distance, watching fight Poison Ivy and Ryu. They had taken care of Harley, who was currently lying beside Batman, unconscious. They weren't helping Ryu because Batman wanted to see what he could do. He can control fire, Robin said, watching Ryu's scent burning shrunken. Yes, Batman said as he narrowed his eyes at Ryu. And from an earlier display of his power, we could say that he also has some degree control over wind. Ivy looks angry, Batgirl said, looking at Poison Ivy. You can't beat me, not here in my own garden, Ivy screamed as vines erupted from around her. Then I will make my own, Ryu said. He made 3 hand seals, causing the ground below her explode. Would release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees. All around them trees started to erupt from the ground. They started to grow rapidly. Their branches extended as they began to crush Ivy's garden, warehouse's roof, and the whole place. Let's go, Batman said, seeing the place was going to collapse soon. He picked up Harley. They ran towards the exit. The boy wonder dropped knees to the ground, panting heavily from exhaustion. That was close, he said. Batman, Batgirl called, looking towards the warehouse. Both Robin and Batman turned to see the full-grown forest in the place of the warehouse, and it was still growing. Suddenly, a wooden hand shot out from the forest, holding Ivy. Then an enormous creature came out from the forest. This humanoid creature had an Oni-like face with the dragon wrapped around its torso. It gave a loud cry before it pinned Ivy onto the ground. Then it moved his second arm near her and opened it, showing Ryu was standing in its giant palm. How? Ivy asked in shock. It was the first time she saw someone other than herself could control the trees in such degree. How did you grow plants without any source? It's impossible to grow at any surface without source like seed or plant. That's my secret, Ryu replied. Now sleep. He put an illusion on her as she succumbed to the genjutsu-induced sleep. Then he turned to Batman. She is all yours. The wooden golem stood on his feet again, leaving Ivy laying on the ground. It placed his hand protectively on Ryu before phasing into the ground. That guy is full of surprises, Batgirl said. Naruto was walking towards his lab. In his was a small tube, holding the blood of Poison Ivy. He tossed tube up before catching it again. I think this price is enough for saving the life of Gotham's heroes. He smirked. It had been almost 6 months. 6 months since Naruto was on Earth. In these 6 months, Naruto had managed to collect various information on Earth's other heroes and villains, their real identities, their powers, their weakness, and many more. He had even succeeded to get some blood samples of metahumans and aliens which were hiding on the Earth. From last 6 months, he had also occasionally visited the blonde-haired cousin of Superman. Maybe because he had interested in her. Currently, our favorite ninja was looking at the holographic screens as he and YamiNaruto had found out sometimes interesting. Some satellite communications facilities around the world had been sending strange encrypted signals into space, and according to YamiNaruto, they were coded messages in an alien language which they had never seen or heard before. There were also some incidences in the facilities that didn't look like accidents. It must be some kind of an alien invasion, if they are damaging the stations, Naruto said, tapping his chin. We don't have any information on their language. Even Green Lantern Corps' databases that I hacked have not any information on it, YamiNaruto informed. Maybe they are new alien species. Or very old alien species. YamiNaruto nodded. There is also one thing, Master, he said. Batman is in Metropolis, and he is working on the same case. Well then, time to visit Metropolis again. Kara Kent, better known as Supergirl, was on top of the tallest skyscraper she could find in the city. She was looking at Metropolis City. So, what are you thinking? A familiar voice of Ryu said from behind her. He walked towards her and sat down beside her. Supergirl turned her head towards him. You have to stop sneaking on me, she said. Nah, it's fun, he replied. So why are you here? She asked, turning her head back to the city. To visit Bat. She quickly turned her head towards him. Batman is here? She asked. She didn't have any clues how he knew all of this. Batman was one of the secretive people she knew, and finding about him wasn't easy. Yes, he nodded. And how did you know that? It's my secret. Whatever, she said before turning towards the city. So, what are you thinking earlier? Well, I was thinking about my life. And? I feel like I'm missing something in life. Maybe you're missing technology. Huh? She looked at him to know how he got to that conclusion. From I know you came from an advanced civilization. Their technology was more advanced than Earth, he said. Putting you in Earth is like putting someone from modern age to Stone Age. You missed the technology. Maybe, she smiled. You thought about all of this? Yes, he answered before looking up at the sky. You know the technology of my home is behind than Earth. Really? She asked in disbelief. She knew he had one of the advanced technology. Yes, we don't even have vehicles, he told her. I've learned everything about technology in space. But even though we are not advanced in technology, there is one department we can suppress even most of civilization. He took a pause. Our medical knowledge. We can regrow limbs, cure deadly poison, and many more. There are many possibilities in our medical techniques. There was a few minutes' silence between them. Supergirl opened her mouth to ask something when she heard sounds of police sirens. Their sharp ears also heard the sounds of bank siren. Is the bank robbery common thing in Metropolis? Ryu asked Supergirl. Maybe the mayor should declare that banks aren't the safest place to store the money. Supergirl sighed as she didn't know how to answer his question because it was a second bank robbery in this week. It was nighttime. Dark Knight was the outskirts of Metropolis, spying on a satellite communications facility operated by Wayne Tech. From his binoculars, he saw 3 suspicious employees of the facility exchanged amiable goodbyes with their coworkers. As soon as their coworkers left, their personality turned 180 degrees. They exchanged some words in some kind of the weird alien language before turning around and walked towards the top of the building. What are they doing? Batman said to himself, looking at employers from his binoculars. He narrowed his eyes as he saw them tampering with the communication equipment. He pulled out grappling hook and went to stop them. If he really kept the attention to his surroundings, he would have seen a small metallic bee watching him from a distance. "This is interesting," Naruto said. He was in the center of the maze of infinity, watching Batman on holographic screen. Batman grabbed one scientist before he could detonate the satellite. Then he attempts to subdue 3 of them, but each of them fought back with amazing speed and strength. Still, he managed to corner one of them on top of the roof dish, but it turned to be useless when other 2 cornered him. "End of the Dark Knight," YamiNaruto said. "Not really," Naruto said as he pointed at the screen, showing Superman had arrived to stop them. Seeing Superman, all employers took a step back. Superman walked forward, but before he could deal them, he grabbed his head in pain before falling unconscious. "Well, that was unexpected," YamiNaruto deadpanned. Taking advantage of this situation, 3 Mysteries employers detonated the satellite, but Batman managed to get Superman on his side and used his grappling hook to escape the explosion, before skidding to stop on the ground. He quickly stood up and turned to see the bodies of employers were twisted into such positions that should be fatal to any normal human, but they were still alive. "Disgusting," YamiNaruto said. Naruto shook his head and stood up on his feet. "It's time for alien hunt," he said as he watched 3 aliens fleeing into the forest. The 3 aliens, who had disguised themselves as those employees from communications facility, were walking calmly through the forest when suddenly a fog appeared front them that seemed to be getting thicker as they continued walking forward. They could barely see 2 feet in front of them. After a few minutes walking forward, it had become too thick. They couldn't even see their faces. Suddenly, Ryu slowly raised up from the ground behind one alien that had taken form of Chinese employer. He placed his hand on his shoulder, and without alerting other 2, he swallowed him into the maze of infinity. Then he went back to the ground. "So this is the true form of these aliens," Naruto said, looking at the glass tank that was filled with a murky, green liquid, containing a disgusting white-skinned alien. He was alive, but in some kind of hibernation state. "Merlin, what is the result?" "His species is some kind of alien parasite. From initial scan, he may have some kind of shape-changing ability," Merlin said. "I can say only this thing at this moment." It's okay," Naruto said. "Show me all data." Holographic screens opened in front of him, showing all data about white alien in front of him as he began to analyze all data. Naruto had finished his morning routing exercise and breakfast, and he was heading towards the underground base as he took hidden elevator behind the wall. He stepped out of the elevator when it reached the base. He then walked towards the underground lab where he had placed white alien in a hibernation state. "What is the result?" Naruto asked, looking at the glass tank filled with green liquid, containing white alien. YamiNaruto materialized beside him. "His species are definitely shapeshifter. I've also found this strange brainwave," he said, showing data on a holographic screen. Naruto tapped his chin as he looked at the data. "They have telepathic powers." YamiNaruto nodded. "But they haven't born with it. They have adapted it or developed it in their later years," he said. "Also, their bodies have no protection against the sun's ultraviolet radiation. That's explain it, why they are more active in the night," Naruto said. "Good job. Secure his body for further experiment." YamiNaruto nodded before saying, "Master, maybe you will interest in this." Another holographic screen opened in front of Naruto, showing breaking news as a blonde-haired lady reporter started to speak. "The World Assembly cannot ignore the protest of common people for the disarmament of all weapons of mass destruction, so they have decided to hold up a meeting on this topic. It'll start soon, so don't go anywhere. Stay in front of your TV screen. It'll be broadcasted worldwide on our channel." Naruto made himself comfortable in the seat. He crossed his arms, placed one leg over the other. "This is interesting," he said, resting his chin on fists. A half hour later, the meeting started. J. Allen Carter, a U.S. Senator, who was speaking on the side of the protesters, began to explain the darker side of holding such kind of dangerous weapons. Japan's government supported him, but many from the military highly disagreed and opposed the idea. They argued that nuclear weapons were the only weapon they had to protect themselves against a worldwide threat. Then Carter proposed the idea of holding Superman as Earth's protector against any threat to humanity. He argued that Superman was both more reliable and capable of handling any kind of threat to Earth, as he had proved time and time again against all supervillains, crooks with high-tech weapons, and when Darkseid first attacked Earth, which the military couldn't stop but Superman did. Naruto raised his eyebrows when he saw on another screen that was showing Superman agreed with that idea. Naruto shook his head and said, "He is weakening the Earth defense with agreeing this stupid plan." Then another screen showed up next to both screens, showing another superhero Flash. He dressed in a red, full-body spandex suit. He was giving interviews to a reporter. "I'm the fastest man alive, and even I can't be in 5 places at once." "I'm agree with him," Naruto said before he turned to the first screen and narrowed his eyes at Carter. "Merlin, collect all information on J. Allen Carter." Nearly 3 months have passed since the World Assembly agreed on the total nuclear disarmament plan. In those 3 months, Superman had been working on disarming the world's nuclear weapons, and had nearly disposed all weapons. "So, this is Carter's house," Ryu said. He was crouching on a thick branch pretty high up the tree as he watched the house, which was guarded by 4 armed men. He was dressed in black t-shirt and black pants with a red line on the sides and tight black gloves as well as black boot. He had a ninja pouch that was strapped to his right thigh. "What do you think about it?" he asked his partner without taking his from Carter's house. His partner was none other than Supergirl, wearing outfits similar to Ryu with some minor difference. She was dressed in midriff-bearing black t-shirt, dark gloves with a thin cuff and pants. "Remind me again, why am I here?" she asked, hovering in the air. "You are here to help me because it's my price for helping you," Ryu replied, turning towards her. "People like me also know there are many things in the life you can't do alone, unlike some people I know." Supergirl narrowed her eyes at Ryu and asked, "Are you referring to my cousin?" She landed down in front of him. Ryu smirked and decided to give safe answer. "Maybe." Supergirl shook her head. "There are 2 things I want to ask you," she said. "Why am I wearing this? And why are we outside of Senator Carter's house?" Ryu stood up on his and went near her. "Because this outfit is a high-tech and more stealthy than your so-called supersuit," he told her. "As for your second question, I think Senator Carter is fake." "Oh, really?" she asked. She folded her arm. She didn't believe him. "How are you so sure about it?" Ryu turned towards the house and pointed his finger at one guard. "Look closely at the gun in guard's hand," he said. Supergirl turned around to look at the gun in guard's hand. She didn't notice this before, but the guard was holding a strange white-colored gun that didn't look like any weapon which made by human. Ryu asked, "Do you really think those are human weapons?" "You mean they are working with aliens?" Supergirl said. "No, I mean they are shapeshifter aliens." "So what now?" "Turn back." "Huh!" Ryu went behind her. He pushed her blonde hair out of the way to see her neck. Supergirl asked, "Hey! What are you doing?" "Their species are not only a shapeshifter but also a telepath. They can read your mind," Ryu said as he took a small rounded device from his pouch and put it on her. "So I'm shielding your mind from them." He placed his finger on device to activate it as a small circular holographic screen, same size of his palm, came out from it, showing many Fuinjutsu seals on it. He slid some seals and picked up a particular seal. It expanded before covering the whole screen. He placed his hand on the screen and then sending some chakra into it, he said, "Fuin!" There was a flash of light where device placed on Supergirl's neck. When it went down, he removed the device. There was very small dot on Superman's cousin's neck, but if you looked closely you could see the seal there. "It's done," he said as he placed the device back in his pouch. "What you did?" Supergirl asked, and she turned towards him and looked at his eyes as she wanted to know. "I've put a Fuinjutsu seal on you." Ryu saw her confused face. "They are similar to magical runes. They will prevent anyone from entering your mind." "Is it permanent?" "Well, I can remove it later if you want." Supergirl nodded her head in understanding. Ryu threw a rectangular chip in front of them. It opened and projected a 3-dimensional image of Carter's house. "This is Carter's home," he said as he started to rapidly manipulate the hologram, showing and expanding different section of the house. "See these white dots? They are guards." "And this red dot?" Supergirl asked, bringing image on a red dot. "This is fake Carter," Ryu said. "Do you understand?" "Yeah." Supergirl nodded, looking at the map. "Good. We're going inside," Ryu said as he stored the holographic map back in his pouch. He then placed his hand on Supergirl's shoulder, and they disappeared. They reappeared outside of the room where fake Carter was. Supergirl used her X-ray vision to look through the walls to see inside. "They are 4 and one of them is Carter," she informed. Ryu nodded as he took a small cylindrical object in his hand. Phasing his hand through the door, he slid the object inside the room. 3, 2, 1, he counted. Supergirl's superhearing heard a small boom form inside. "What was that?" "A small paralyzing gas. It will shut them down for 2 hours," Ryu answered. He grabbed Supergirl's hand and they phased out the door. The room looked completely fine from inside. Only fake Carter and his companions were laying on the floor. Their bodies were paralyzed. They all were particularly in death-like state. "Supergirl, keep eyes on the guards," Ryu said. He knelt down beside fake Carter, put a small circular device on his forehead. Then he pressed a button on a small holographic pad in his hand, activating the device that was on Carter's head. "What are you doing?" Supergirl asked. "Taking information from his head," Ryu answered without taking his eyes from the pad. "Is it safe?" I don't know. I've never tested it before," Ryu replied. "Two things will happen if anything goes wrong with it. His brain would either fry out from inside or completely shut down for forever." He said everything so calmly like he didn't care about it. "He doesn't care about it." Supergirl's sweat dropped. "Is he really a fake?" she asked. Ryu didn't say anything. He pressed a button on the pad as Carter turned into a white alien. "This has answered your question." Suddenly, Supergirl's advanced hearing caught some noise, so she turned around and used her X-ray vision to see 2 guards outside of the door. The guards opened the door and walked in. The room was empty. They talked in their alien language before they started to scan the room when Supergirl slowly landed behind them from the ceiling. She slammed their heads into each other as their heads bent in weird ways before they fell on the ground, unconscious. "Could you please hurry up?" she said. Ryu cancelled the genjutsu as he and other aliens became visible. "Give me a few seconds," he said as he pressed some buttons on the pad. "It's done." He placed both devices back into his pouch. "Let's go." Grabbing Supergirl's hand again, he teleported both of them outside of the house. Both Ryu and Supergirl appeared far away from the house. They were now standing on top of a cliff. In front of them was an endless empty desert. "So what did you find?" Supergirl asked Ryu. Ryu pulled out his holographic pad. After looking at some Carter's memory, he said, "These aliens had invaded Mars 1,000 years ago, wiping out all Mars people, and absorbing their telepathic and shape-changing abilities." Supergirl concluded, "So, they have come from Mars?" "Yes, you could say that," Ryu said. He searched Carter's memory again. Form fake Carter's memory. During the Mars mission, real Carter inadvertently released these aliens. "So what happened to him?" "He is dead, killed in the process," Ryu said. "As for his doppelganger, his mission is tricking humans into disarming their most powerful weapons, and he has succeeded in it. He used my cousin for that," Supergirl said. She clenched her fist in anger. "Yes," Ryu said. He touched pad screen to get more information. "Another thing is that there is a lone survivor of Martian civilization, who had come to Earth to warn about them, is captured by them." "Where is he?" Supergirl asked. "We'll also have to inform this to Superman." "It's too late for that," Ryu said. He slid screen on the pad as a large holographic screen materialized in front of them, showing a meteor entered into Earth's atmosphere. "The invasion has already started." It was a normal night of Metropolis City. People were just doing the daily things, such as shopping, walking down the street, and many other normal things. That was, until some people noticed the sky brightening. People looked up in shock and awe as they saw a meteor coming down to them. The people scrambled as the meteor came from the sky and crashed into the middle of the city. A few people quickly grabbed their cell phones and snapped some pictures before police and fire unit came there to control the situation. They started to evacuate all civilians from the area when a leg suddenly emerged from the side of a meteor. Before it could squash the police vehicles and police officers which were inside the vehicle, Superman came to their rescue as he managed to save 2 police officers from getting squished by a leg. The leg was soon followed by 2 more legs and the rest of the body. The being that had emerged from the meteor was tripod-shaped and as tall as a building. It was white in color and had red splotches on its body. The tripod then fired a laser that blew up a police car. Superman flew straight at the tripod, but he was sent sprawling after being hit by a laser blast. Police officers began firing at the tripod, but their bullets bounced right off. The tripod began shooting more lasers. Far away from them, Lois was writing some notes in Notepad for her new news article while Jimmy was taking some photos for her. "Lois, this idea is crazy," Jimmy said while taking some pictures of the alien vehicle. "Shut up, Jimmy! Just take the pictures," Lois said. "Where the hell is Clark when you need him? The man was not always there when she wanted him. It's not like he has gone to save the world, or something." "Shit!" Jimmy shouted as he saw a laser beam heading straight towards their way. However, both Supergirl and Ryu reached in time to save them. They grabbed both reporters and lifted them up in the air as the beam hit the building behind, severely damaging it, where they had been a mere second earlier. "You need to be more careful, Lois," Supergirl said as she and Ryu slowly floated down with both reporters in their arm until their feet touched the ground. "Supergirl," Lois said. She didn't recognize her because of her new outfit. "Well, nice outfit. You looks better in this than your old one." "Thanks, man," Jimmy said to Ryu. Ryu said, "You are welcome." Hearing a jet, they all looked up and saw a bat-shaped jet launch 2 missiles at the tripod. It hit the target, consuming a fiery explosion. When the smoke cleared, it was evident that the attacks didn't have any effect. "What the? It must have cost a lot of money," Jimmy said, seeing Badjet. "Is he a billionaire, or something?" "You have no idea," Ryu thought while Supergirl and Lois were thinking the same thing as they knew Batman's real identity, as multi-billionaire Bruce Wayne. Superman flew up and punched the tripod into a bridge. Then he began tearing through its shell, but he was hit with another laser blast and sent flying into a building before he could do significant damage. The Badjet fired more missiles at the tripod as it stood back up. The missiles once again had no effect. Suddenly, 2 more tripods emerged from the meteor. "Let's go," Supergirl said as she flew towards the alien vehicles. "Mississippi Lane, don't do anything reckless," Ryu said before he flew up and followed after Supergirl. "You heard him, right?" Jimmy asked Lois. "Whatever," Lois said, folding her arm. One alien vehicle saw Supergirl coming towards them, so it sent a laser at Supergirl. Seeing the laser blast, Supergirl crossed her hands in front of her face to block the attack when suddenly her new suit acted, covered her all bare skin and a helmet slid down over her face. The suit easily blocked the blast and absorbed the impact. "Cool," Supergirl said as she moved her arm and directed blast at another alien machine. The attack hit the target, but it didn't do much damage, other than a crack appeared in the tripod's shell. A screen popped up in front of Supergirl's face with an image of the robot's schematic. It showed a weak spot in one of the tripod's shell, the crack that the previous blast had made in its shell. Supergirl raised her fist, flew towards the robot, and punched it in its weak spot, tearing its shell. The helmet over her face went back into the suit like it was reading her mind. She then used her heat vision to blast off its inside circuits. Her tactic worked, and the tripod exploded. Ryu phased thought the laser blast as he flew towards second one. He summoned chakra chains, infusing them with Amaterasu fire. He warped them around its legs. Amaterasu easily melted the tripod's all 3 legs as it fell to the ground. To finish it completely, he wrapped Amaterasu-infused chakra chains around its remaining body, melting it. "Can I keep this suit? It's cool," Supergirl asked Ryu as she floated beside him. Ryu turned to her. It's just a prototype, he told her. If you want, I can make a real suit for you. Really? She asked. Yeah, he answered. He landed on the ground in front of the fallen alien machine. But after this invention. Supergirl nodded. Suddenly, something passes overhead, fast enough to make the ground shake. They looked up to see Superman leaving hurriedly with Bad Jet following shortly behind him. Where are they going? Supergirl asked. Ryu said. Let's find out. We can't, Supergirl said. She pointed at the last alien vehicle. There is still one left. Ryu made 3 hand seals and said, Would release, would clone technique. A small wooden post grew out from the ground beside him before it changed its shape, took human shape in less than a minute. A perfect copy of his was standing beside him. Go handle it, he ordered his wood clone. The clone nodded before he flew towards the last tripod's direction. Supergirl's jaw dropped on the ground when she saw him making a clone of himself. You can make a clone of yourself, she said. Yeah, Ryu said. Just how many abilities you have? Ryu smirked. I am a man of many skills. Supergirl shook her head on his answer before they flew up into the sky and went in the same direction where Superman and Bad Jet had been gone. Tracking Superman and Bad Jet, both Supergirl and Ryu reached a partly destroyed military installation. They lowered themselves to the ground, in front of a hole that had been smashed into the wall, a few feet from a door. They flew into the building through the hole. They came to a room full of people inside alien pods. Are they? Supergirl trailed off, unable to finish the question. Ryu answered anyway. They're in a state of suspended animation, he explained before noticing the sound of something hitting metal. They walked out of the room to see Superman trying open reinforced steel door by pounding on it while Batman was trying to stop him from doing that. Batman asked. Destroying government property isn't your style. What's going on? Looks like your cousin has found the last Martian, Ryu said to Supergirl. You mean he is here? Supergirl asked. Ryu nodded before he floated towards both superheroes with Supergirl behind him. Well, Batman, you need to hear him before coming to any conclusion, he said. Slowly his feet touched down to the floor. Both superheroes looked at them. Ryu, Batman said. Supergirl. Superman quickly corrected himself. Why are you wearing this outfit? Never mind. He turned back to the door and grabbed it before throwing it out of the way, revealing a room full of computer screens that appeared to be monitoring someone's vital signs. Superman forced open the door at the other end of the room, entering a room containing more computers and a green-skinned alien. What is it? Batman asked. Mankind's only hope. He is from Mars. The last Martian. Superman, Supergirl and Ryu answered same time. Batman sighed. Okay, is it only me here who don't know anything about him? Superman flipped a switch that released the alien from its bonds. He's been trying to reach out to me, but that stasis field interfered. When his message finally broke through it, I came to rescue him, he explained. Why is he here? Batman inquired. The invasion, the Martian said telepathically. I came to warn you, but I was captured and imprisoned. They wouldn't listen. Ryu's eyes flashed red and Martian threw out from his mind. Don't ever try to enter my mind, he warned. Martian nodded before he transformed into a more human appearance complete with a blue high-collared cape, blue, a red belt with a yellow belt buckle, a pair of blue boots and 2 red straps crossing his chest in an X. I am John Johns, he introduced verbally while extending a hand in greeting. We'll have to contact the Joint Chiefs, Superman said as they exited the building, only to be blinded by the lights. Stop right there, Superman. You're trespassing on government property. Our orders are to keep that freak here, the leader declared as Army aimed their weapons at them. Wait, I'll vouch for him. You must let us go, the Man of Steel said. A stream of white flames shot out of Ryu's mouth, which formed into a large fireball that rushed towards the army. The fire engulfed most of the soldiers. What are you doing? Superman shouted. He was ready to save them when the remaining soldiers shot a laser beam at him and blasted him into a tank. Superman! Supergirl shouted as she turned around to see the army turned into white and black aliens with 3 red dots running vertical down on their faces. They are fake, Ryu told her. He grabbed her hands and all attacks phase thought them. Both the Dark Knight and Last Martian took refuge behind a jeep to avoid the blasts. As Batman pulled out an explosive batarang and threw at a group of aliens, taking out them. An alien got behind Batman and fired a laser at him. Look out! John yelled, going through the Dark Knight. He formed an energy shield that deflected the laser. Batman quickly pulled out a batarang and threw it at the alien, knocking it out. Are you alright? He asked John, who appeared to be injured. Ryu went through a few hand seals, muttering, Water release! Water dome jutsu! Gathering a large amount of water from the atmosphere, he formed a large water dome around him and other superheroes that pushed most of aliens and their attacks back. Supergirl, take other away from here, he said. Supergirl nodded and she flew towards others. She saw Superman use the tank as a shield to protect Batman and John from remaining aliens which were inside of the dome. Superman, Ryu will handle this from here, she said. Superman nodded and he threw the tank at white-skinned aliens. He turned to Batman. Get John to safety. I and Supergirl will cover you, he said. With the help of Supergirl, Batman took John to the Batjet and placed him in the cockpit. As Ryu provided them a gap to leave the dome, but they were soon pursued by a squadron of alien aircraft. Ryu made another set of hand seals. Water release! Water dragon jutsu! He said, and the water dome turned into a large Chinese dragon. It roared, looking at aliens before the entire army of white-skinned aliens crushed by the high-pressure water. Both super cousins took few aircrafts before getting hit by lasers. The impact sent Supergirl to the ground while Superman slammed into the side of a mountain. Batjet destroyed one aircraft with his missile before one of the aircraft blew off one of its wings as the plane and its occupants were sent into a death spin. Fortunately, the downed aircraft was caught by a green energy field. It was Green Lantern, John Stewart, wearing Green Lantern Corps uniform and power ring. A winged woman, Hawkgirl, joined the battle and started bashing the fighters with her mace. She wore a yellow one-piece with a red belt, gray boots and black mask. Superman, Supergirl, and John also joined in the aerial battle. Green Lantern also came to help them after leaving Batjet safely on a cliff. Hawkgirl was blasted out of the air and landed on a cliff. A dark-haired woman wearing a tiara protected her by deflecting laser blasts back at the alien planes. Who are the rookie in the tiara? Green Lantern asked Superman. I'm not sure, Superman responded as he tossed one of the alien aircraft into the side of a cliff. At the end of the fight, a red blur ran up carrying the Batjet's missing wing. Hey Bats, I think you dropped this, the blur said as it came to a stop in front of Batman. It was the Flash. Supergirl landed on the ground in front of them, followed by the dark-haired woman wearing a tiara. Whoa, where have you been all my life? Flash asked, seeing the black-haired beauty. Themyscira, she responded, oblivious to his attempts at flirting. The home of Amazons. I always thought it was merely a legend, Hawkgirl commented as she was already present there with the Green Lantern. I assure you, it's as real as the ground on which we stand, the woman replied. I am Diana, Princess of the Amazons. Pinch me, I must be dreaming, Flash said, earning an elbow jab in the gut from Supergirl. Oh. The island of Themyscira is protected by the gods, but I could not idly stand by while the rest of the world was in danger, Diana added. While they were busy in talking, Superman was helping Batman. He was repairing Batman's ride, using his heat vision to weld the wing back in its place. After fixing Batjet, he joined with others. Thanks for coming here, Superman said to Diana. The Martian stepped forward. I telepathically summoned them, he told him. Okay, look, I'm usually pretty quick on the uptake, but would someone please tell me just what the heck is going on here? Flash asked. I will, John said. But I am waiting for the last person to show up. Flash asked. Who? Me, Ryu said as he rose up from the ground like a ghost. You, the Green Lantern shouted as he recognized him. He sent a beam of glowing green energy at Ryu. Ryu easily caught the beam, which was still connected to the Green Lantern's ring, with his left hand. Before the Green Lantern could realize, a black matter started to corrupt the green energy by turning it from green to black. In less than a second, it reached at the power ring as the ring and Green Lantern's outfit lost their green color. John found himself enveloped up to his neck with a black energy rope and unable to move. He was a few feet up in the air. "It's nice to see you again, John," Ryu said, and he dropped the Green Lantern on the ground. Suddenly, a couple of alien aircraft came from the sky. They aimed a laser blast at them. Before they could fire them at them, Ryu grabbed each aircraft with black-colored hands that made from corrupted Green Lantern's energy, which was still in his hand. He closed his fist as the energy hands followed his action, destroying all aircrafts. The Green Lantern stood up on his feet. His ring and outfit had returned back in green-colored. "What are you doing here?" he asked Ryu. "Because you'll never work without getting something in return." "Oh, really?" John narrowed his eyes at him. "Yes, you are Ryu, the mercenary whose motto is never work for free," he said. "You are Ryu the Destroyer?" Hawkgirl asked. She heard many things about him in the space. Ryu was pretty much famous in the space. He had many nicknames. He was the mercenary who hadn't failed in any missions. He was the destroyer who had destroyed his many opponents. Another famous name of his was the thief, the man who liked to steal the high-class technologies and expensive objects. "You're much younger than I expected," she added. "I know," Ryu smirked. "But I've more experience than you have in your life." She folded her arms and said, "Yeah, right." "Why are you here, Ryu?" Green Lantern asked again. "I'm not bound to tell you everything, John," Ryu said. "But for your information, I didn't want to waste this chance to know more about this unknown alien species." His thirst for knowledge pulled him here, the Green Lantern thought, as he knew Ryu liked to collect information on everything. "We can talk about this later. Right now, we should focus on the invaders," Superman interpreted. "Very well," Green Lantern said. "I'm dropping this subject for now." "John," Superman said, as the last Martian came forward. "I want to show something telepathically," he said, looking at Ryu. Ryu said, "Very well." He gave him permission to enter his mind. John turned to the rest of heroes. His eyes were glowing. "We first encountered them 1,000 of your Earth years ago," he said. Suddenly, everyone found themselves standing on Mars, but it was not barren. It was like a city. "It was a golden age," John said as Martians were walking around, minding their business. "Our Martian civilization was at the height of its peace and prosperity." On top of a balcony, 2 Martian, 1 male and a female, were happily looking at the city. Ryu could tell that the male Martian was John. And then they arrived. A dozen blazing meteors came hurtling towards Mars, causing destruction on where they landed. "From where they came from, no one knew," John continued. "But they were determined to make our planet their own." The image showed giant white monsters firing in the city, destroying everything. One Martian threw a grenade at one monster, destroying it. "We Martians were a peaceful race, and the taking of any life was abhorrent to us. But we quickly learned the ways of war." The image shifted again to show captured Martians being herded by pale aliens, hitting them with guns and firing at them. For centuries, the battle raged on. Every trace of our once great civilization was obliterated. We fought valiantly, but the invaders were parasites who fed our physical energy. They even absorbed our shape-shifting abilities. Another image showed Martians being trapped in red eggs while the aliens absorbed the Martians' shape-shifting abilities. Finally, a small group of Martian survivors planned one final, desperate attack. The image changed and they watched a group of Martians wearing masks and holding guns charging inside the aliens' base. The group managed to kill a few of them, but soon they were outnumbered. Only 1 Martian remained. The last Martian then hid behind a wall and pulled out a device, which he activated and threw at the oncoming invaders. Inside their underground stronghold, we unleashed a powerful nerve gas that paralyzed them. When the smoke cleared, the Martian walked past the aliens, who were frozen like statues. The Martian removed his mask, revealing that it was John. He then looked around him and saw that his brethren perished as well. The attack was successful, but the cost was dear. I was the only survivor. The last of my kind. There was another image shift, and they watched John closing the entrance of the stronghold, sealing of the invaders. I sealed up their citadel to keep them in a constant state of suspended animation, John said as the image suddenly disappeared and everyone found themselves back to Earth. For years I stood guard over them. But while I was in a hibernation cycle, astronauts from Earth unsealed the stronghold and accidentally revived the invaders. Hang on, Flash interrupted, raising his hands. Those astronauts never said a word about finding life on Mars. Green Lantern snorted. Some pencil pusher in Washington probably decided it should be classified information. Or there is a mole in the government, Ryu said, and everyone looked at him. Who? Flash asked, thinking maybe he had some clue about it. Senator Carter, Supergirl answered. The real Senator Carter never returned from Mars. He is dead, Ryu explained. The one who was on Earth is his doppelganger. His mission was disarming nuclear weapons to strip away any means of defenses, leaving Earth open to attack. And he used me, Superman said. He was angry at himself when he realized that he had rendered Earth powerless. They also sabotaged the Deep Space Monitoring Network, Batman said. So we couldn't detect their activities. We got to stop them before it's too late, Green Lantern exclaimed, his eyes glowing green. It may already be too late, John said as he looked at the horizon, waiting for something. In the middle of Metropolis City, Ryu's wood clone stood on top of the remaining parts of the last alien machine. Before he could dispel himself, the rock where they came from started shaking. He watched rock crumbled away, revealing black tentacles. The black tentacles then started merging into a giant skyscraper. The skyscraper then started acting like a pump, releasing black smoke into the atmosphere, blocking out the sky. They're blocking the sun, he said himself before dispelling. What was that? Diana exclaimed as she heard thunder. It has begun, John said, looking at the dark storm clouds on the horizon. Everyone except Rhea looked at the clouds with wide eyes. That is one freaky storm, Supergirl said, breaking the silence. What are they doing? Hawkgirl asked, looking at John. They're blocking the sunlight, Ryu said, catching everyone's attention. They're similar to vampires. Sunlight is harmful to them. You could say they are creatures of darkness. John nodded his head. How do you know this? Batman asked as he narrowed his eyes at Ryu. I've captured one of them, Ryu answered. Flash then walked towards John. Can't you make another batch of that nerve gas? He asked. John shook his head. Unfortunately, I cannot. The gas can only be made from a rare Martian plant. I brought a sample with me, but it was destroyed when I was captured. It wouldn't have been the best way anyway. There wouldn't have been enough time to test the effects of the gas on the native plant and animal life, Supergirl said. Then, what's plan B? Flash asked. We have to take out those factories, Diana suggested. Exactly, Supergirl agreed. Hawkgirl lifted her mace and said, I like this plan. And here I thought boys like to destroy things, Ryu commented, causing Flash to chuckle. This is no job for amateur like you, Green Lantern said, looking at Diana before he turned to Supergirl. Or kid. We Amazons are warriors born, Diana said, glaring at Green Lantern. Want to test me? Even Supergirl looked ready to knock some sense into Green Lantern. Ryu decided to take this change to humiliate Green Lantern. John, you said the same thing to me when we first met, he said. Green Lantern quickly turned towards him. Because that time you were 15, he said, glaring at Ryu. And your point is? Ryu said. Age doesn't matter, it's just a number. He smirked. And gender doesn't decide someone's skills. With that, Ryu got plus points in all females' books while Green Lantern got minus points. Let's not fight among ourselves, Superman said, walking towards them and putting a hand on Green Lantern's shoulder. John, we're going to need all the help we can get. Fine, Green Lantern said, huffing. I'm sorry, He then walked in the center of the group with a calculative expression. Tactically, we'll have multiple objectives, so we'll need to split into teams. Dibs on the Amazon, Flash said as he suddenly appeared beside Amazon's princess, his arms slung on her shoulder, who shot him an incredulous look. Ryu shook his head and looked at the last Martian. Where did they capture you? He asked. Where are we going? Supergirl asked Ryu as they were flying over an empty desert. All heroes split into 4 groups to destroy a factory each. The first group was Superman and Hawkgirl, who went to Metropolis. Flash and Green Lantern were the second group. They headed somewhere in Malaysia. The third group, John, Diana, and Batman, got Egypt. The last group was Ryu and Supergirl. They were supposed to go to Tokyo, but they were flying above an empty desert. Tokyo is that direction, she added, pointing a thumb in the opposite direction. I know, Ryu said. He had his holographic pad in his hand. Then why are we heading towards opposite direction? We are heading towards John's ship. Why? To prepare the Plan C if Plan B fails. They moved through the air at high speeds while spewing dust and sand into the air like a suddenly active volcano that had lain dormant. They passed several sand dunes. When they got closer to the signal, they stopped. We are here, Ryu said as his holographic pad got John's ship's signal. Supergirl used her X-ray vision to look around and saw the ship buried in the sand. It is here, she said, pointing at the particular place. Ryu nodded as he waved his free hand and sand started moving. Within a minute, a Martian ship came into view. The ship didn't look like a spaceship because of damage that had done by white-skinned aliens. It looked more like a junk. They landed in front of it. Okay, Supergirl said, turning towards Ryu. What now? Use your X-ray vision and try to find the Martian plant that John had brought with him, Ryu said. But John said it was destroyed when he was captured. I know that, but a very small part of that plant will be enough for me, even if it's dead. Supergirl nodded. She used her X-ray vision to look inside the spaceship. After searching for a minute, she found it. I found it, she said, walking towards the ship. She entered the cockpit using a large hole that was on the ship. The cockpit condition wasn't good. All controls had been melted. Pilot seats were torn out of the deck, and broken stuffs were scattered, hanging everywhere. Supergirl grabbed one seat before throwing it away. Under the seat was a broken plant stem ended in a bundle of leaves. Its color was blue and its leaves had tiny red spots on them. It looked dead. Supergirl picked it up before leaving the ship. It's dead, Supergirl said as she gave the blue-colored stem to Ryu. Ryu grabbed the stem of Martian plant. Good, he said. In the less than a minute, there was full-grown, healthy Martian plant in his hand. Wow, Supergirl said, looking at a fully grown Martian plant. So it's true you can control plants. Ryu gave her a smirk. He pulled out a round disc and levitated the alien plant over it. He then pressed some holographic keys and stored the plant inside the disc. Supergirl asked, Can we go to Tokyo now? Yes, Ryu said as he placed his hand on her shoulder. They were swirled into a vortex and vanished from there. Ryu and Supergirl were looking down on Tokyo from the sky. There was devastation all around as the alien machines were destroying the city. They slowly floated down to the building below them, landing softly on the edge of the roof. Ryu pulled out his holographic pad to scan the factory in front of him. There is no opening, he said after reading the data. Master, they've captured Superman and Hawkgirl, Karasu informed Ryu telepathically. Ryu looked at Supergirl and said, Your cousin and Hawkgirl have failed. What? Supergirl exclaimed. Are you sure? Yes, Ryu said. I expected that. What do you mean? They have Martians' telepathic abilities. They would know what Superman and Hawkgirl were thinking. If it is true, then why didn't you give them runes marking like? Because it's my plan, Ryu cut in. Engage people with what they expect. It is what they are able to discern and... He smirked and looked at Supergirl. It settles them into predictable patterns of response, occupying their minds while you wait for the extraordinary moment, that which they cannot anticipate. Supergirl looked at Ryu, and gave him a disbelieving look. In short, all heroes are nothing but a diversion, she said. Yeah, Ryu said, nodding his head. When remaining heroes will fall in their trap, we will act on my plan. My plan is simple. Give our enemy false victory before attacking them when they least expect us to attack. Supergirl shook her head and turned towards the factory. So, what shall we do now? She asked. There appears to be no openings. We didn't need them, Ryu said. He grabbed Supergirl's hand and they passed through the wall that was behind them. Inside the factory, Ryu rose up from the floor holding Supergirl. He quickly pulled out his pad and said, There are total 50 aliens in the factory. We have to take all of them out without alerting their other bases. But how? Supergirl asked. She wasn't Batgirl, who could work in the shadows. She was Supergirl. Her style was bash villains' heads. Carter's home was a different story. That time, she didn't have to deal with more than 10 aliens, but now, I'll have handled more than 20 aliens without alerting others. Ryu slid the screen on his pad as an image of Supergirl's suit, which she was wearing, displayed on the screen. He clicked some special function of her suit. The helmet slid down on Supergirl's face, and she turned invisible. Cool, Supergirl said. A camouflage mode. Ryu clicked again as Supergirl became visible again. Yes, he said. Supergirl's helmet slid back into her suit's interior. So, we're still going to work on my new suit after invasion, right? She asked, hopefully. While Ryu and Supergirl were busy in Tokyo, the rest of heroes were in Metropolis, preparing to free Hawkgirl and Superman. Sorry we're late, Green Lantern said. Had to stop and rescue some civilians. What did you call us back for? Flash asked. Superman and Hawkgirl were captured, Diana replied, pointing at the factory. They're trapped somewhere inside there. Whoa, Flash commented. And where are Batman, Supergirl, and Ryu? Green Lantern asked as he noticed that 3 of them were not around. I couldn't contact with Ryu and Supergirl. Something is blocking my power to reach them, John said. As for Batman, he looked down. He acted heroically to the very end. The Bat's gone? Flash said with a shocked expression. He was a true warrior, Diana said. This is not good, Green Lantern said as he looked at the factory. Definitely not good. The room was huge, filled with computer-like devices. At the center, floating inside tube, was a red orb. Many invaders were laying on the floor. Their bodies were twisted in odd angles. Both Ryu and Supergirl suddenly became visible and their helmets slid back to their outfits. What is it? Supergirl asked, walking towards the red orbs. The ion matrix crystal, Ryu said, looking some data on his holographic pad. If we can remove that, it'll shut down the whole plant. Got it, Supergirl said as she went forward to remove it. Don't, Supergirl, Ryu said, stopping her from doing anything. Supergirl turned to look at him. Why? It would alert other aliens' bases if you removed it, Ryu said as he went near the orb and placed a small device on it. Placing his finger on it, he activated the device as it. It is an explosive. We are temporarily leaving this factory active. Ryu touched her shoulder, and they disappeared into a swirling vortex. They appeared in the maze of Infinitely, one of the most complex mazes. The place filled with dangerous traps, illusions, and many things that could kill anyone. Both Ryu and Supergirl were in one of the safest places in the maze, its center. It was a large circular hall with the ceiling that mirrored the weather without any of the negative effects. Welcome the maze of Infinitely, Ryu said as he was walking towards the center of the hall where a large hologram of Earth stood. Supergirl was following Ryu. What kind of place is this? She asked, looking around. It's my personal space, Ryu told her. Well, nice, Supergirl said. Ryu walked in front of the hologram. Merlin, he called. In form of 0 and 1, Amir Lion appeared in front of him. Yes, Master, he said. I want you to analysis this Martian plant, Ryu said, giving Amir Lion a storage device. Amir Lion levitated the device up in the air and opened it to scan the alien plant which was inside. What is he? Supergirl asked as she looked at Amira Lion, who was scanning the plant by forming a blue shield around it. His fingers were manipulating the shield. Amira Lion suddenly popped up beside Supergirl. My name is Merlin. Most Enhanced Revolutionary Life Form and Intelligent Network. He introduced himself. It's nice to meet you, Supergirl. Well, it's nice to meet you too, Merlin, Supergirl said uneasily. It wasn't the first time she saw an artificial intelligence, but it was the first time she met an artificial intelligence who was acting so much like a human. Amira Lion nodded before he disappeared and reappeared beside the shield. He began to scan the plant again. Supergirl turned to Ryu and said, He is so much like a human, Ryu said. I know. The rest of heroes took care all obstacles that blocked their path, and followed the last Martian through the halls, walking for what felt like hours. After a while, they finally stopped in front of a round door. John then placed his hand on the door. I sense that they are somewhere beyond these walls, he said. Diana tried to force the door open with her strength, but it was too strong. It's no use, she said. We have to find another way. Stand back, Green Lantern said, walking forward. He fired at the door, managing to make a crack. We don't have much time left, John said as Green Lantern was making a doorway. After a few minutes, the doorway was finally open. The group walked inside and saw Superman and Hawkgirl hanging upside down, their eyes closed. Great Hera, Diana said, shock all over her face. The others quickly ran to get them down when John suddenly stopped. Wait, he said, suspicious. Something is not right. Suddenly, Superman and Hawkgirl's eyes opened. They were shocked when they saw their eyes were completely red. It's a trap! Flash exclaimed as the exits suddenly closed. The holes appeared around the walls, spewing yellow gas. Everyone gasped and coughed as they inhaled the gas. They started falling down, slowly losing consciousness. Lantern, Diana said, coughing. Your ring! Soon, everyone was knocked out. Green Lantern tried to use his ring, but he couldn't concentrate. Can't focus, he said before he fainted. The two fakes walked towards the fallen heroes, smirking before they morphed back into their true, pale look. A shadow swirled a few distance away from them, forming a lone bright red eyes that saw the whole thing before closing. So this is your personal dimension, and only you can enter and exit from this dimension. Supergirl confirmed after Ryu told her about this dimension. Yes, Ryu said. Wow, Supergirl said, looking around. So is it really a giant maze? It's not a giant maze, it's an infinite maze, Ryu said. It's one of the most dangerous places. Before Ryu could tell Supergirl anything, his shadow twisted and shifted, it lifted up, and took a form of a familiar raven, Karasu. She landed on his shoulder. Master, I've a news, Karasu said telepathically as both Ryu and Supergirl heard her voice. Supergirl pointed at Karasu and asked, Did this raven just talk telepathically? Yes, Ryu said, smiling. Meet Karasu-chan, my guardian angel. Other than me, she is only one who can enter and exit from this dimension. Hello? Karasu said. Hi, Supergirl greeted. Ryu asked. Well, anyway, so what is news, Karasu-chan? The invaders have captured all heroes, except Batman, Karasu said, who is heading towards Gotham. Another thing is that Martian has somehow managed to secure his mind from all invaders. Ryu tapped his chin and said, John is smarter than I thought. One more thing, their leader, Imperium, is coming, Karasu informed. Then we must act quickly, Supergirl said. Ryu nodded. Merlin, what is the result? He asked. Amira Lion appeared in front of Ryu. Well, we can make nerve gas from it, but... Supergirl raised her eyebrow. But? She asked. The gas is not safe to the Earth's environment, Amira Lion informed. There goes our plan C, Supergirl sighed. Not really, we can still use this gas, Ryu said, smiled. I've a plan. We captured them in our Tokyo factory, a white-skinned alien said to another its species who were guarding the entrance of Metropolis Factory. showing Ryu and Supergirl's unconscious bodies over it and its partner's shoulders. "Put them with other heroes," one factory guard said as it opened the door for them. They went inside and walked through the corridor until they reached a room where they were holding the rest of heroes. They all were unconscious and were being restrained by something reminiscent of a giant piece of flypaper. Both aliens put Ryu and Supergirl's unconscious bodies beside those heroes before turning back and left from there. "John!" Superman said to the Martian. "John! Wake up!" John slowly woke up, groaning. "Superman," he said as he turned to look at Superman. "You shouldn't have to risk your lives for us," Superman said. "Would you have done less for me?" John said, causing Superman to think he had a point. "Ow, my aching head," Flash commented as he woke up. Soon, everyone was gaining consciousness, except Ryu and Supergirl. Suddenly, from above, one invader walked forward, looking at the heroes. "Earth's mightiest heroes," he said as his form suddenly changed. "Welcome." "Senator Carter," Superman said angrily. "Unfortunately, the real Carter never returned from Mars," Carter said, smirking. "I know. You used me to weaken Earth's defenses," Superman said, glaring at the fake senator. "You were so eager to cooperate," Carter said, sneering. "Thanks to you, the humans were totally helpless against us." "It's not over yet," Superman said with a glare. "Wrong again, Superman," Carter said as he pressed something on a panel, opening the ceiling. Outside the dark storm clouds was a giant ship. A small vessel suddenly flew away from the ship towards them. The ship hovered above them. "All hail the Imperium," Carter Imposter declared before bowing along with the rest of the aliens, except two aliens who had brought Ryu and Supergirl. They vanished into the shadow without alerting others. Imperium emerged from the ship, revealing itself to be a floating tentacle blob. Johns, it's been a long time," he commanded before John placed in front of it. John was forced to transform back into his true form. "Much better. You have defied us for centuries." The aliens, who had brought Ryu and Supergirl, were now inside of the mother ship. The silver rings appeared around them before they changed into Ryu and Supergirl. "Your toys are better than Batman's," Supergirl said, tapping silver bracelet on her wrist. "Thanks," Ryu said. He then threw a bag at Supergirl. Supergirl caught the bag. Inside the bag was small circular devices which contained Martian's nerve gas. "You know what to do," he added. Supergirl nodded and she and Ryu flew towards different directions. They began planting devices all around the ship without alerting anyone. With their speed, it wouldn't take much time. After planting all devices, they returned back to the factory to see Imperium torturing the last Martian. They were disguised as Imperium soldiers. Ryu put his hand on Supergirl's shoulder to stop her doing something reckless that would affect their plans. "You're hiding something," Imperium said, its tone worried. "A secret deep into the recesses of your mind. Is this another of your Martian tricks?" Its tentacles that pierced through John's skin dug deeper into John's body, causing him great pain. "Do I sense fear?" John said. Imperium started torturing John harder. "What are you hiding?" it demanded. Suddenly, it blasted away from John by laser. Imperium turned around and saw its own two soldiers. Unknown to Imperium, they were Ryu and Supergirl in disguise. "What are you doing?" "Shut up, ugly," Ryu said as he and Supergirl transformed back, shocking everyone. "Now!" John shouted, taking advantage of this situation as he turned back into his other form. Suddenly, there was an explosion. Everyone looked up and with wide eyes they saw Batman standing on the hole on the tube where the core was being held. This was another shock, seeing him alive. "Batman!" Flash said, surprised. "It can't be!" Diana exclaimed, shocked. "I mentally shielded him, so he couldn't be detected," John explained. Batman put something on the core, causing it to turn from red to blue. "What have you done?" Carter exclaimed with horror. "Reverse the ion charge," Batman replied as the blue spread all over the factory. "The crystal!" Imperium shouted. "Destroy it!" The invaders started firing at the crystal as well as Batman. However, Ryu blocked all laser blasts by appearing in front of Batman. He quickly grabbed the Dark Knight and teleported from there as the blasts harmlessly hit the tube. "It's shielded!" Carter shouted. Supergirl flew towards the rest of heroes and started breaking her cousin's restraints with her heat vision. "Thanks God, I charged myself before coming here," she thought as she saw the condition of her cousin, who was particularly powerless because of lack of sunlight. "How?" Superman asked as he saw another Supergirl and Ryu, who were still trapped. "They are fake," Supergirl said. After freeing her cousin, she went towards her copy and snatched the silver bracelet that on her copy's wrist as her copy changed to a pale alien. See. The iron charge that Batman had placed inside the core reached the factory's machine. The pump outside the factory released a strong blue light that hit the dark clouds, causing them to dissipate. As the clouds cleared away, sunlight burst from the sky and through the factory's opening. As the sunlight hit the invaders, they started screaming in pain. Some of the invaders managed to avoid the sunlight. Those who didn't avoid it melted. Imperium tried to run, but John burst from him, grabbing his tentacles and pulling him towards the lights. "No!" Imperium exclaimed as he tried to pull back. "You live underground and shun the light, why?" John said as he dragged the alien towards the sunlight. "Does it burn your pale, putrid skin?" Imperium screamed as his skin bubbled and boiled. "That is one nasty sunburn," Flash commented in disguise. Superman looked up at the sun, feeling his powers coming back. He smirked as he turned around and fired his heat ray at Hawkgirl's restraints. She managed to pull her arm free, holding her mace. She then smashed her restraints and went to free Green Lantern, turning his restraints into dust. Green Lantern fired his ring at Flash's restraints as Supergirl punched Diana's restraints. "Destroy them!" Imperium ordered, his form smoking. "I don't think so," Ryu said. "Fire release, dragon flame release song technique!" He expelled numerous dragon head-shaped fireballs at Imperium soldiers. The flame heads hit their marks as many were incinerated by the hot fire. Soon, the rest of heroes joined the fight. They began attacking the aliens with their respective powers. Hawkgirl dived towards the aliens, smashing them into slime. Flash dashed through the aliens, knocking them out. Green Lantern fired at the aliens, blasting them away. Superman, Supergirl and Diana were making more holes in the factory, pouring more sunlight. Ryu clapped his hand together, and a giant tree erupted from the floor. Its long branches took the whole roof with them. The entire room was filled with sunlight, and the invaders started melting. Meanwhile, Imperium and John were still having their tug of war. Imperium tried to push his tentacle deeper into John's temple, but John threw him towards the ground. Imperium then started floating back towards his ship. Carter, who was firing at the heroes, noticed him and tried to join him. "Imperium, wait!" he exclaimed as he jumped and grabbed Imperium. "Unhand me, worm!" Imperium exclaimed as he swatted Carter aside. Cart fell unceremoniously to the ground as Imperium entered his ship. The ship started flying away, causing more sunlight to enter. "No!" Carter yelled as he was hit with sunlight before he turned into a puddle of slime. Diana was blocking the invaders' fire when she noticed Imperium was escaping. She quickly grabbed her lasso. But before she could do anything, Ryu stopped her. "Diana, let him go!" Ryu said. Amazon's princess quickly turned to Ryu. "What?" "Just handle the invaders who were still on Earth. Leave Imperium to me," Ryu said. "I've left some surprises in his ship." Diana raised her eyebrow, but nodded, and left to handle other invaders. "Maybe we better get out of here," Flash said as he noticed the factory started to collapse because of the damage they had done to it. "Not without them," Superman said, drawing attention to a number of people that were trapped in cocoons. He cut them out of the cocoon. "Flash, Supergirl, give me a hand." Flash and Supergirl each carried a victim to Green Lantern, who used his ring to make a protective bubble around them. "This whole place is going to blow," Hawkgirl exclaimed as she dodged the falling debris. "Everybody, stay close," Green Lantern said to the hostages as closed dome and started carrying them. Let's get out of here, Ryu said, phasing through the debris that was blocking his way. Green Lantern flew towards the exit with the hostages as Superman grabbed Flash and flew after Green Lantern. Wonder Woman grabbed Batman's hands and carried him towards the exit, followed by John, Supergirl, and Hawkgirl. The factory exploded just as everyone managed to get out of it. They landed at a safe distance as the factory turned into smithereens. They looked up as the mothership flew back to the sky. Imperium is leaving, Hawkgirl said. Not really, Supergirl said, smirking as she looked up at the ship. We've left some goodbye gifts for him. Flash asked. What is it? Martian's nerve gas, Ryu answered as he pulled out his holographic pad and typed some commands when the mothership left Earth's atmosphere. Inside mothership, all devices that Ryu and Supergirl planted started to beep before they exploded, releasing Martian nerve gas that paralyzed all aliens which were inside the ship. Now, time to clean up, Ryu added as he slid screen and clicked a large button. There was a device inside the ship which was much bigger than others. It beeped 3 times before forming a large energy shield around the mothership. Then shield began to shrink. Within 10 minutes, the whole ship completely disappeared in one point. Back to Earth, everyone looked up as the dark clouds that shrouded the city disappeared, showering the city with bright lights. So it's finally over, Supergirl said. What do you think, Ryu? She turned around and saw no sign of Ryu. I think he pulled Batman on us, Flash commented. Supergirl sighed. Not really, Ryu said suddenly from behind them. They quickly turned back and saw Ryu eating noodles. I was hungry, so I went to Japan to buy some noodles, Ryu said. He chewed the noodles slowly and swallowed. Fight makes me hungry. Now you're talking in my language, Flash said. Can I have one? He quickly appeared beside Ryu and tried to sling an arm to his shoulder, but his arm just slipped through him. Buy yourself one if you want it, Ryu said as he finished his meal. Ah, my bad. Superman did the fake cough to get everyone's attention. We'll still need to handle remaining aliens, so we'll split in the same teams as earlier, he said, getting nods from other heroes. First Superman left with Hawkgirl, followed by Green Lantern and Flash. Diana and John last one left while Batman disappeared somewhere. Only Ryu and Supergirl was there. So, wanna eat something before going work? Ryu asked. I'm still hungry. Supergirl thought for a few seconds before answering casually. Sure. Ryu smiled and grabbed her hand. Then let's go. I know one shortcut, he said, and they disappeared without leaving any trace. Over the next few weeks the group took out the rest of the facilities that were scattered around the world. After a month, all of the invaders had been destroyed or had retreated. But people still feared the possibility of it happening again. Fortunately, Batman came up with a solution. Outside the Earth's orbit, a satellite was floating in space. Inside the satellite, Superman was looking at Earth, which looked so far away, when Batman walked up behind him. Incredible! Do your stockholders know about this, Bruce? Superman asked the Dark Knight. A line item hidden in the aerospace R&D budget, Batman explained as he looked around the giant satellite. This watchtower will act as an early warning system that will detect other invasion from space. And it also has a fully stocked kitchen, Flash commented as he, Supergirl, and Diana entered, carrying 2 iced mochas and a fruit smoothie. Iced mocha? No thanks, Superman said, waving his hand. Diana took a sip of her drink, enjoying the new taste. She said with a smile. They don't have these on Themyscira. Stick around, princess, Flash suddenly, grinning. I'll show you the ropes. Perhaps I will, Wonder Woman said, smiling. An impressive installation, Green Lantern admitted as he and Hawkgirl flew down towards the group. Most impressive. But what's it got to do with us? Supergirl was in her old supersuit and was drinking her smoothie, looking around the satellite. She then noticed Ryu and John not around. Where are Ryu and John? She asked. I'm here, Ryu said as he came out from Metal Wall. He walked towards Supergirl. Supergirl asked, Smoothie? No thanks, maybe later, Ryu responded. Superman looked down on Earth with a faraway expression. I once thought I could protect the world by myself, but I was wrong, he said as he turned back to the group. Foolish thought if you asked me, Ryu muttered, but both Supergirl and Superman clearly heard him. Supergirl gave him an elbow jab in the gut. Oh, I know I was foolish, Superman said, smiling. Working together, we saved the planet. And I believe that if we stay together, as a team, we can be a force that could truly work the ideals of truth and justice. What, like a bunch of super friends? Flash asked, getting the idea. More like a Justice League, Superman said with a smile. Do you have any idea how corny that sounds? Flash voiced again. But maybe the big man's got a point. With all of us behind it, it might just work. Count me in. He put his hand on Superman's. Me too, Green Lantern said, approaching them and putting his hand over Flash's. Hawkgirl followed his example. And me, she said, placing her hand on Green Lantern's. My mother may not approve, but I find the man's world to be intriguing. I'll gladly join, Diana declared before placing her hand on Hawkgirl's. Supergirl smiled. I'll also help in my free time. I'm in, she stated, and then he put her hand on Diana's. She looked at Ryu. What about you, Ryu? Ryu smirked before he turned his back, walking away from them. I'm not a hero. Just call me when you'll truly need me, he said, and he disappeared in Murder of Crows, leaving a few black feathers behind that disintegrated into tiny particles of light. Supergirl said, Well, it means he is in. What about you, Batman? Superman asked, looking at Batman. I'm not much of a people person, Batman said. But if you need me, and you will, give me a call. He thought about something before he looked at Green Lantern. What can you tell me about Ryu? What do you want to know? Green Lantern asked. Everything that you know, Batman answered. Ryu is young, but a skilled fighter. He knows many fighting styles. He can use various weapons, Green Lantern said. I've also heard from his most of opponents that he copied their fighting styles just looking at them. I don't know it's true or not. It's true, Batman thought, remembering his fight with Ryu, where Ryu mirrored his all moves. About his abilities, Ryu has superhuman strength, speed, flight, and invulnerability, as well as ability of becoming intangible and teleportation. His most of powers are still unknown. John looked at Batman. But I know he can control all 5 elements as well as plants. What about illusions? Batman asked. Can he use them? Yes, the illusions is one of his favorite things, Green Lantern admitted. He likes to trick his opponents with illusions. It's one of things that annoy me most. You can't tell the difference between reality and his illusions. He is very good in them. If you asked me, he is one of dangerous men I know. Batman nodded before turning around and walked away. And one more thing, Green Lantern said as Batman stopped and looked at him. I've also heard rumors that he is an empath. He can sense other people's emotions? Supergirl said. Yes, Green Lantern nodded. It means you can't lie to him, Batman thought and left. Anyway, we're all agreed, right? Superman asked, looking at all heroes who nodded their heads in agreement. Wait, Diana said, looking around. John is not here. She noticed the absence of the last Martian. Yeah, where is he? Flash asked as he looked for the Martian. Superman flew towards where John was to see John was staring into the dark space, looking at his planet that seemed unreachable. John, are you all right? He asked, walking towards John. My family and loved ones are long gone, John said as he lowered his head. I am the last of my kind. I know how that feels, Superman said as he put a hand on John's shoulder. Now Mars is dead and I am alone in the universe, John continued. We can never replace the family you've lost, but we'd be honored if you could learn to call Earth your home, Superman offered. They both smiled and went down to join their new teammates. It had been 2 weeks since the Justice League had become official. Most of people accepted the idea. In fact, they were mostly thrilled to have some of the best heroes in the world, and one new heroine named Wonder Woman made a team to protect the world and deal with the major threats. The heroes took an interview in which they revealed their plans and watchtower. However, not everyone was happy. So many powerhouses had gathered together in one team as Justice League. It wasn't good for Earth's defense if they went rogue. All government agencies were already paranoid ever since Darkseid's attack on Earth, where Superman had gone rogue. The Justice League was the last straw. They were finding some fixed solutions to this problem, and one of the solutions was sitting in front of U.S. General. "How could you help us to solve this problem?" the general asked. He had white hair and blue eyes, and wore standard army uniform. Behind him were his two soldiers, holding high-tech guns. "I know your government has decided to make a secret division to countering the power of metahumans in the world, particularly the members of the Justice League," the person said, smirk. "What is its name?" "Aha, Cadmus, am I right?" General's eyes widened. "How did you know that?" "It is a top secret." "I have my way, General," the person said, placing his hand under his chin. "I can provide Cadmus the high-tech alien technology they want." That caught General's attention. But, they are not cheap." There were a few minutes of silence between them before General said, "Very well, can I ask you something?" He got a nod from the person. "Why a hero and member of Justice League like you wants to help the organization that has basically made to stop the people like you?" The person came forward, showing his red eyes with three toma-like patterns spinning. The person was Ryu. "Because I'm not like them, I'm not a hero, I'm a mercenary," he said. "And the Justice League is just my part-time hobby." "So you're a mercenary," General said. He made himself comfortable in the seat and looked at the mercenary. "Can you kill any member of Justice League if he or she went rogue?" Ryu answered. "Only if you gave me a good price for it." "Even Superman?" General asked. He waited for Ryu's answer. Ryu smirked. "Even Superman," he said. "I know he is one of the strongest people, but he has a weakness. And I'm not talking about kryptonite. His heart, he doesn't have the heart to kill his enemy." General smiled at his answer. He stood up. "I like your style, Ryu," he said, stretching out his hand. Ryu smirked as he grabbed General's hand, shaking it, and said, "Call me Madara, Uchiha Madara." Chapter end.
Now watch daily exclusive uncensored Lemon stories and mature content, along with NSFW images, featuring Harem girls characters from the fics. Access all this and more on my Patreon. Click the link in the description to explore.